really excited, John, the way things are going with Greyhawk Con. Anna, Josh, and I met with Greyhawk Reborn this morning, and they committed, and
Harbor Town is an all-new series from Miniature Building Authority, the leader in tabletop gaming scene.
Added in. That's
unique,
that's good.
Flexible, and playable.
They really don't do
Harbor
anything
Town
streaming
will
wise.
take your
It's all
games.
they like doing in-person games. That's what they've been forced to go running stuff virtually. So they're getting the swing of it, and that's another good organization. So deep breath.
Yeah, I'm having to take a few of those myself. I mean, the last couple of weeks, you've seen some of my streams, Jay, and I'm not trying to shout out my stuff, but man, the drama, the role play, I had no intention of creating all of these sort of back-to-back moments of like deep role play emotion, but even today, it was crazy. And I got to take a breath. I may not be myself tonight on the stream, so
that's okay. It's okay. I mean,
we can have a winding down evening.
Yeah, I figure a lot of it, half of it, we're going to talk just general connections, and then the other half we'll take Q&As about our campaigns. It'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah, I know it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be a little less stressed than I had last week with Eric Marna. So I just was so psyched up for that.
No, I was gonna say, it's funny you say that because I've found as much as I love playing the game, especially when I'm streaming in these campaigns, I'm focused. But when I do Lore Masters Academy or interviews or things like Gabbin, it's relaxing and it's just fun. I love it.
That's awesome. It's a funny story, and I think everyone knows it. You know how this show Gabbin came about?
You told me once the first time we met online.
So,
yeah.
I knew I was never going to make affiliate if I just ran a game one night a week, and so because I'm kind of limited, with gaming with my friends to one night a week because that's all they can do, and I was going to go out and meet people and just automatically bring them on. And I said, you know what, we should have a talk. I can do a talk show, and that's how it came about. So,
that's great.
Hello, Asher, Select, Oranir, Ornar, Rox.
Orient Noir.
Yes, I can't say that.
Orient Noir, yep.
He's a cool dude.
My South Jersey accent prohibits me from saying words like that are 3 or 4 syllables.
Orient Noir, yep. Ryan Noir, yep.
Yeah, it's funny, Anna. The first time you popped in my chat, I said Orient Noir or Orion Noir because then I think of like the Orion constellation.
Yeah.
And he said, nope, you got it right the first time. So.
Okay.
Orient Noir.
That's more than I knew. Yep. Yeah.
We're giveaway wise, we're doing Reaper this Thursday, so we'll have some Reaper mini giveaways on Thursday night, just for everyone who's out there. Well, that's good to hear. I like that. Orion Noir. Did I say that right that time? I had to speak slowly.
I'll let him correct.
Yep.
Plus, John, just occasional sips of black coffee.
Yeah, that's what I'm hitting right now. Lots of black coffee.
Excellent. Well, hopefully everyone is in for a fun night tonight. I think it's going to be a great discussion.
I think so.
Hey,
and I shout you out all the time. Thank you so much. You know that. You've probably seen many of
them.
And
for a bonus, we have a legend coming on for a bit too. There he is.
Oh. Hi.
What's up, Leonard?
Good to see you, Leonard.
Yeah, welcome.
We think that means hello in Polish, but I'm not positive.
No?
Oh, dobro. I'm not good at the Slavic languages, but
yes, it is one. We have so Orion. We have my one player Tom. He makes a lot of his names in the palindromes. So, hey, what's up, David? David's cranking out the Greyhawk music posts lately.
Yeah, Leonard last name, not first name. Thank you, David. Wily Hobbit.
It's going to be a little bit more casual, relaxed night tonight, I think, guys. So that's a good thing, right? That's
yeah,
a good,
we might need a recovery from last week. Yep.
It's about all I could tolerate, Jay. So
that's good.
I'm at the end of my rope, brother. So
well, when you DM that as many times as you do, you know, it gets rough because you got to, especially terrain changes. You know, that's the big thing. The time it takes to change up the terrains, I mean, is, you know.
no, you're dead on. I mean, it's DMing in general. Look, I mean, I love the guys who do improv. I do a lot of improv too, so there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I've got some folks that improv for multiple hours at a time. But, you know, when you do some prep, that takes time, and then your minis take time, and then your Twitch stream takes time, and your terrain takes time, and it's a lot.
I realized that my prep time is probably 5 times longer than the game. The time I'm gaming, at least probably 10 times more time prepping than actually running the game.
I think you're spot on, Anna. I think that's probably about exactly what I have.
I think it's a 10 to 1. It's like driving a tank. It's 10 times more maintenance than driving it.
Yep, Silas Nitin Rainier. That's a complete 3-word named palindrome, Tom, for your character. Absolutely. All right, I got some memory pictures up tonight. We're going to talk about connections. So those that have been in my, so I should have a Jeopardy question with the answer. Who are those that have been in Jay's basement?
That sounds like some kind of bad episode of torture, Jay.
Yes,
well,
exactly.
yeah. It's so funny. Anyone who knows you, they know how awesome, cool that is. At rest, we're like, what the hell is he hinting at? It's so cool. It's awesome.
So how you doing tonight, Leonard?
I'm finding out if I go to chemo tomorrow or not. Well, always great fun.
Well, let's hope for the best.
Yeah.
For sure, Leonard.
I'm not sure what the best is. That's the
well, let's hope for better. How's that sound?
Yeah, better than best.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for telling us, Leonard. I'll make that a matter of prayer. I appreciate that. Thank you.
We will, Leonard, if you're up to it, we will do that giveaway on Wednesday nights. We'll do the contest on Wednesday night. You gave us the information for it. What's up, Mike?
Woo! Steve, good to see you, sir.
This will be, by the way, the last Gabbin for 2 weeks. What's up, DM? I will be down the shore starting next Saturday for a week with the family. So next Gabbin will be 2 weeks from tonight. Someone once told me if it was more than one-to-one prep play, I have never come close to 2-to-1. Orion, I think I'm maybe 4-to-1, counting this Twitch stream prep, right? Because you got to get all that right. All right, it's 1 minute before, so we'll come on here.
Yeah, Twitch makes everything different.
It does. It does. It throws another wrench into things, but it's a fun one, you know.
It is a fun wrench. I've liked it. I'm not complaining.
I mean, it's been an honor and a pleasure so far over these last 2+ years. You know, I'm having so much fun. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for hopping on. I'm Jay Killer Gazumba, number 102. Now look. I had Eric Moon on last week. Don't think we're going to top that, okay? Please, we're going to try our best. You know what I'm saying? So, I have Anna Meyer on as usual, and I have the legendary Lenard Lakofka, who's going to be on for a little bit, and then my special guest tonight is from BlueBoxRPG, the coordinator to DM, John Burchfield. John, thanks for coming on. Len, thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me, Jay.
I think we're gonna have a great discussion tonight. Thanks, Sean, for that resub. So I came up with this idea because John and I are doing a lot of stuff that's like kind of interlinked now, and I figured, and I thought, wow, you know, there's no reason that other people can't do this without streaming. You know what I mean? Just to kind of link up campaigns, and it kind of makes it more, I don't know, I don't want to sound corny, but it breathes life into it. You know, it gives it like a feel like there's something going on somewhere else besides where I am as a character right now. Does that make any sense, John?
No, dude, that's not corny at all. It makes perfect. No, I think that's the essence of it. Because look, okay, so I thought about this, Jay. Thank you for reaching out to me this week.
No problem.
And when you talked about connections, And I can't confess to spending a ton of time because I have been DMing, but I did think about it. And I thought, well, what is this really about? And for me, if I go back to my roots, late 70s, early 80s, playing the game, you had connection, which was sort of integral to what it was to play the game as a kid. You would play the game, then you'd go to school the next day and you'd see your friends and you'd talk about what happened last night in the game. And it wouldn't just be a once a week thing. It would be a connected throughout the week thing because it was part of your friendship and your community. And I think what we're creating now with Blue Box, with Greyhawk Online, with your Gasamba's channel, with Anna, with Lenard, it's a fantastic community. We're creating that same sense of continuity that I enjoyed as a kid, but we're using these digital mediums to create something that I could not have imagined as a kid, and I love it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear because I think the only way we're going to continue to grow everything is to build the community around all of us and not just, one or two channels, but get more channels involved. And that's kind of the whole idea for Greyhawk Con as well. And, even if WotC doesn't recognize what's going on, so what? If we get a couple hundred more people involved, it just will snowball, and more, and that's what I'm looking for. Hopefully that's what we're all looking for. Len, what are you doing there, man? Uh-oh. What is that? You got a fly swatter or something?
Oh, it's my grabber.
Oh, your grabber. Okay. Yeah, I was like, what? Let's grab it for something.
Like an insect coming in. They have like sturges or these kind of, yeah.
So, hey, Bill, what's going on? I'm glad to see you and Tom on tonight participating in the discussion. So thank you. Anna, what do you think about the discussion that we're going to have?
I think it's awesome. I think it's important because I think we can kind of show a little bit how you can take other people's ideas and integrate them into your campaign and then publish your own ideas and talk about them and that way enrich other people's campaigns. And the more you kind of, we can interact in the community, we can, because you will certainly not like everything someone else is doing, but you like certain parts and then take them into your campaign and make them into your own, so to speak. And it's that kind of creative give and take that is, I think, so rewarding and rich, and we can have that in the Greyhawk community. We're all going to have more fun games doing it.
And Anna's a great facilitator and linker of that with the maps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one aspect of it. So yeah.
Good job.
Sorry, go for it. Her maps are like a connective tissue to all the Greyhawk community. I mean, it's just whatever you're doing, whatever world, whatever age, whatever year, you're just her maps are joining you together. And I want to say real quickly to Sasha Scorn, I'm glad you like this shirt, but I'm going to tell you there's only one reason I'm not wearing a Gasumba shirt tonight. And it's because I don't have one yet.
I have a whole delivery of them coming. I have a whole. By the way, guys, so my 2XLs don't fit me anymore.
Oh, see, you need to get some, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're getting a little big. So I got a whole. Here's the thing. Sometimes it'll be good. You got to be lucky. I got an email from Vistaprint. I went on, and they were having 50% off everything in one day. This about a week ago. I got these for $12.50 each coming up. I got a whole bunch of them. So John, I will send you one.
All right.
I promise. Anna's got one. I gotta get them out there, but yeah.
I'll gladly rep your gear, Jay. I just gotta have it. That's all.
Yeah, and plus
I'll pay for it, man.
Plus you're not giving Bill a Blue Box shirt till he wears one of these, which he refuses.
That's exactly right. Yes.
So there you go. Yeah, he's one of those conscientious objectors. So so far. So
I won't wear a mask. Oh, never mind.
What's that?
Well, we have all these idiots out here who won't wear masks.
I wear a mask everywhere I go outside, man.
Yeah, me too. But
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in my basement, so I don't need a mask here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Exactly, indoors we'd be good. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got so thanks, Tom. Yeah, Tom loves wearing the shirt, and he had it on Thursday night, the blue. So I got a whole bunch coming. We'll get them out to everyone. Definitely, thank you for that. So Len, did you ever do anything crossover or connect with another DM like Gary? Yeah, I'm assuming the Liam and stuff was shared throughout, but did you ever like do anything with Gary himself or some other?
There was 2 tournaments or 3 tournaments that what's his name? Brian Bloom ran, and one of them was with Gary, and you had to DM their characters in your world.
Oh, cool.
Or various things. There were various tests they did, and I came in second in one and third in the other one. Bob Blake beat me out, I think, on the one where I came in second. You know Bob Blake, right?
I've heard of him. Yeah, I don't know him personally, but I've heard of him.
Yeah, he used to run the big tournament at Gen Con. I don't know if he's still doing that stuff. I mean, that years and years and years ago. But it was a major tournament. You would have, I think, teams of 8, and you'd start out with 32. Is that work out right? 32-16. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
started out with 32 teams, and you would sit there and drive yourself crazy.
Paul Stromberg does it now at GaryCon, and in fact, I was signed up for it at this GaryCon. I got the next to last seat. They go like that. So there was like 112 people signed up for it, and there's a whatever you divide by 6, and they had all these teams, and they had the DM for every table, and it was going to be a major tourney. It's a shame that we didn't have it. You
had to beware of TSR, because at one convention we talked about who's going to do the next game setup, and I said, well, I'll do it this time. So I set it up. I send them the preliminary stuff, which I already had. And then 360 days later, they say, well, we'd like you to change this. And I said, go fuck yourself.
Yes, Len!
You've had the material for a year, for God's sake. You've had the material for a year.
Notice
Don't tell me you want me to change it.
That have happened to me, not that long, but
it happens to me
Len!
Well, you've given the material to your judges.
Yeah.
And you've had discussions with your judges as to what you're going to do, and if this situation comes up, this is what you're going to do.
But you had fun with it.
TSR wakes up and says, well, we don't like this, that you're crossing the ocean, so let's kill that. I said, but that's the prelude to the whole damn thing. Oh, my
God. But you know what? You had fun, though, right? You had fun with the whole thing.
I had fun yelling at them.
Excellent. Well, yeah, you know what? I feel blessed because Len's never yelled at me. So...
Not yet.
Not yet. That's not true, though. I got one story when I told you that I did 2nd edition specialty priests instead of clerics, and you didn't like. Yeah, I remember that little discussion about 2 years ago before you were on any show, but that's okay. That was.
Well, this is the Gizmo. Oops.
Yeah. So Wednesday night we're going to do another contest.
Yeah.
Len's going to give that away after we'll show you. You're going to have to describe a building that Len has made, and I'll give the details out. I'll get them all together, and we're going to do that on Wednesday.
Yeah, let that go till Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll do that on Wednesday night show on the Iron League. That'll be
very nice.
One. Yeah, definitely. So, John, you having fun so far?
Yeah, I could listen to Len and Anna all night. So if you just want me to be an audience member here, I'm fine.
No, I'm talking about your campaign, Greyhawk campaign.
Yeah, thank you. But
I'm having a blast, Jay. I'm sorry, Anna. Go ahead.
No, you're the main guest tonight. So
no,
you're
I'm a squirrel trying to get a nut.
No,
So look, I'm having a blast. It's absolutely incredible. I played the game, as you know, Jay, for 40 years. I started in the late 70s. I'm 49 years old. I'll be 50 next year, and just absolutely loving the Greyhawk community and all of the support that's coming as I've introduced 5e players. I've talked about this, so I'm not going to repeat everything I've said before, but 5e players and folks that are new to this old school system. I use a lot of 1E, 2E elements, but Greyhawk and the lore and Dragon Magazine and all the old stuff that they're loving it, and they're getting enmeshed and immersed in it, and it's creating a fantastic community and campaign. I've been blown away by how well this has gone.
Fantastic.
Cool. Awesome.
I got an idea for you for a bad guy. If you really want to really hurt them, take a Lenard Lakofka archer and make them one of the bad guys. They are nasty. There you go. He's writing notes down.
Tonight, Jay. I'm taking notes tonight.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
One of my one of the first NPC classes I converted over to PC. I love. It's a great class. It's been in our campaign since the article came out. Yeah, and that's a great class to.
Did you get the rewrite?
Oh yeah, you sent me the rewrite. I got the rewrite about 1.5 years ago from you. It was we published it on Greyhawk Online. They got published on Greyhawk Online. All the rewrite with all the edits. Absolutely, yes, and they were good too. They were positive. So
there was something about the Archer Ranger that the experience points or something didn't.
Yeah, it was stacked way too high, and so we did that. We did that. We do it at an Archer table -10%, which is almost the same as what you've done. So yeah, so it's the same. It works out very well. It's a great class. So David Lenard from Greyhawk Musings asks, John, do you like Greyhawk more than Middle Earth when you DM?
Wow, that's a fantastic question. I love that. I saw that in the chat. And I was hoping you'd ask me, Jay.
Yeah.
So, as a fan, I think very, very deep loyalty to both. I love both worlds. I love both bits of lore. But as a DM, I prefer Greyhawk. Lord of the Rings and the Middle Earth campaign setting is great, but one of the challenges you have is the establishment of canon, which can make you feel very confined or constrained as a DM. That's why I went to the 4th Age with that campaign, because I did not want to be in the 2nd, 3rd Age where everything is already lore and canon in Tolkien's world. And I went to the 4th Age because, similarly in Children of Her, there's some things there, but nothing really clear as far as canon, and you can play a little bit. What I love about Greyhawk, Gygax was so intentional about this that he created worlds, and of course Arneson and many, many others. I'm not just, but everything was created in Greyhawk was designed to be a huge base of lore and things that you could work from, but then also giving the DM so much freedom to explore and expand where you don't feel like you're constrained with existing canon. And so for me, there's nothing like DMing in Greyhawk.
Great to hear. I have, with the exception of 3 or 4 bad hopping into Dragonlance back in the day, and we're like, why am I doing this? Because it was so linear driven.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in Greyhawk my entire life, so I agree with you 100% there. It's just you have to. You got it. I mean, some people don't love the campaign. Some people, prefer Forgotten Realms, and that's fine. But I love the openness, and I love the making the story your own. And I know Glenn does too, right, man? That was what draw you to what Gary was doing.
Well, you can drop in towns and stuff where just about anywhere you want.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's really very, very easy because you have a few cities, but we all know that that's certainly not the whole landscape. You've got all kinds of little towns that don't exist on the Greyhawk map, which is what Gygax intended.
Exactly.
So that you could add them. You could add in crossroads, you can add in small towns, and put them in. And that works really, really great.
And
you're in control of that piece.
And we are definitely blessed with all that Gary has provided as a basis. So one other quickie announcement about Lenard. Lenard has already committed to the virtual Greyhawk Con Sunday night final show, which is this Gabbin show. I've converted it into an Ask the Experts Gabbin. So already committed is Gary Julian and Lenard Lakofka, and it's just going to be questions and answers all night. Ask the Experts. So yes, so Lenard, barring hopefully it's in October, but Lenard is committed to doing that, and Gary Julian's committed to doing it now. So I think that'll be awesome to finish up the Greyhawk Con. I think it'll be a great.
As long as it isn't edition 3 or later.
It won't just be about Greyhawk. It won't be edition talk. It's Greyhawk Con, so yeah, absolutely. All right. So everyone, if you haven't watched my session 0 that I did for Blue Box, it's on my YouTube and it's on Blue Box's YouTube as well. So you can watch it in either spots. And some things that John and I talked about to lay the groundwork was we want to set up some baddies, right? John came up with this brilliant idea for his NPC to turn on the party ahead of time. Oh my God. I was like, I can't wait till this happens. Oh my gosh. That was so fantastic.
That was great. I loved it.
Oh man, that was so fantastic. And then Ashrin, who I NPC'd, and now it seems like Evie's character hates her.
Oh yeah, that was the intent, Jay. You remember we talked about this. So part of what Evelyn's character.
Yes, I'm sorry, Evelyn. I got so many characters in my head.
No, I know. I'm the same way, man. I call my players by their character names, and I get all mixed up all the time.
I'm so sorry. It's just so many. I got 2,000 characters in my campaign. 2,000.
I'm close to you. I'm less than 1/50th of that, and I still get things confused. But Evelyn, so she plays, of course, Mary Millie in that campaign. And one of the things that she emphasized with that character is her beauty, her appearance, and how important that was to her, that she used that in many of her interactions for diplomacy. And Halia created this real foil, equally beautiful, coincidental, the same comeliness score.
That was
it was so cool. Same comeliness score, but sort of the light to her or dark to her lightness, and it created this rivalry instantly. Like we didn't even have to contrive it; it just happened. And yeah, that was a lot of fun, and it's grown.
And so they also got accustomed to the chains on her arm, which is this symbol here up above me, which is the Dark Brotherhood. Now this organization has been in my campaign since I want to say 82 or 81. That's how old it is. So she's deliciously vain. Absolutely.
I love that.
Deliciously vain is a great way to say it, David. Great way to put it, man.
It is.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I love the Dark Brotherhood because one thing, I don't like the Scarlet Brotherhood on this side of the map. I keep them over there on the Medio Jungle and Monoland, or Monoland side, right? Lenard, you don't want them all over the place, do you? Yes. So there you go. Lenard says it's okay. Then it's good. Yeah. Keep them there.
It was a leading question, Jay.
I know. I have to do it sometimes. But the Swiss Forest is rife for what we are doing in our campaign. It's rife for you guys. I want to show some maps during the night a little bit, but here, I'm gonna pop these up real quick. Now everyone knows Altamira is the main city. And this is in the county of Ulick border. And then when we go up, there's where we're currently playing Norwell. But if we go up in here, so you're playing in Hamlet, and you're moving around now into the Cron Hills. You're heading southwest, correct?
Correct.
Excellent.
Yeah, so they're into the Cron Hills. They went on the south road there past Gallows Corner. They cut before Osterwerk, and they went down into the hills there, moving toward Rockhull. There's actually an Orcish keep they found on a map, which is probably 15 to 20 miles to the east of Rockhull.
I love it because once again, you made Greyhawk your own, and you have your own antitheses, and you have your own storyline going on, and it exists right in what we're doing, and it doesn't affect anything. And that's that's the great thing that Lenard just said. You could put a town, a city, a keep anywhere. I mean, this map is filled with living Greyhawk stuff. Right? With towns, right?
Especially that area full of living Greyhawk stuff.
Yeah, so but there's plenty of room on that map still to have spots. And I did the same thing in Norwell. I added 3 locations, and I added Newbriar, and it's a Short Lord Games adventure, right? I had a halfling village in it. It fits perfectly in, and but what I like is that there is, and I missed because I was at my son's soccer practice. Your new character, what did he tell about himself, John, on Tuesday?
Yeah, so the new character Shorewin, he's going to be a fun player. He's actually a college professor up in Michigan and a longtime D&D player, role player, and he's got a cavalier. And what I love about this is I use my base rule system is 3.5, as Jay knows, but I pull a lot of elements from 1E and 2E. And the way I describe this often is I like a lot of what they're doing with 5E. I think it's introducing new players, and I'm not trying to get into an addition war. but you cannot possibly compete with a handful of books and sort of source manuals with 40 years of lore and all like the Dragon magazine content and all of the books that came before in 1E and 2E. There is so much to mine from all of that. And if you look at the 1E, 2E Cavalier class, you got the regular Cavalier, you got the Elven Cavalier in Dragon magazine. There's so much to pull from there. I got a thumbs down. Oh no!
Well, that's Josh busting stones though. Josh was always busting stones. Josh Pop just said something in chat. Don't talk about the Cavalier around Len, but Gary Gygax made the Cavalier, so it's okay.
Yeah, so he said he's a Cavalier. He's from, I'm sorry, real quickly, I just finished Jay's question. So he originates from the county of Ulek, and he's right there on the eastern side of the Cron Hills next to the forest. And his family, he hasn't said too much, so I'm not going to say too much on the stream tonight and spoil the backstory of the character.
Cool.
But he is very much after vengeance for something that happened to his family from a tribe of orcs that had invaded up from the Palmarge up through the forest and affected him. He aspires one day to be a member of the Order of Ulek. He's squired underneath a prominent member, which I'll let Jay talk about. And he's hunting down vengeance for the moment with the hope that one day he'll return back to the Order of Ulek.
Go ahead, Len, about Cavaliers. We're going to hear this.
Oh, well, my problem with the Cavalier is simple. What do you do with the horse?
You're absolutely correct, and we have a little discussion about that. That if you take the Cavalier literally, I say your horse mounted when possible and practical. You're not taking your horse to the Lort Mill Mountains, right?
Well, no, not to the Lort Mill, but that's a great question. And Leonard, you didn't watch last week, I think, from what you're asking. But I think the Cron Hills, I actually told all the other characters they had to leave their mounts behind. They would hobble those horses in the rocky and very treacherous ground up in the Cron Hills. But they encountered the Cavalier, Shorewin, in the Cron Hills because he is so expert with his mount. He is able to pick his footing. Now, I would never take him up to the Lort Mill Mountains. I agree with that. And there was a couple of scenes where he had to drop off the horse. It's fun, but I think that's a fun part of the character class.
Yep, yeah, it is. It definitely is. Absolutely.
I don't want him to flip me off, though. Leonard, you gonna flip me off?
Ah, it's okay. So,
one of our players decided to play a Cavalier, and they went into a cave complex, which turned into a dungeon. And they were down in there for 7 or 8 days. When they came out, the goblins were just finishing eating the horse.
Well, if someone's watching it, yeah, absolutely.
No, I love that. Yeah.
No, they put some guards on it.
Yeah, but they're guys with red shirts, like in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's
or their morale number is not very good.
It's a true point. It's a true point on it. But all right, here's the connection. All right, Bill, I don't want to see any cheese things or anything like that because this was my idea. So he was squired until he's like, is he 30 now? So it was a long time, and he had to get on his own. 29, 30? Okay. He's squired for legendary champion of the County of York, Sir Harn, in my campaign. And Sir Harn is legendary for winning multiple tournaments, combat tournaments, multiple jousts, and for slaying a black dragon named Lynze, Lynze. So, and they met this character at the Tringlee Midsummer Festival, which we held in 1988, guys. So that's how long that character has been published in my campaign. So it's not like I just made this character up out of thin air. This character's been, in fact, one of Crazy Walt's characters, Lena, actually had two twins from Sir Harn, and she stayed with him for about 2. She's flighty and then took off. So yeah, so there's actually kids of that character adventuring in the campaign as well. Yeah, so Walt plays a good female character, but always plays the neutral chaotic neutral type. Sorry, Walt, if you're on, but so Leonard, development wise, go ahead.
I'm sorry, real quick. You left out. He does have some Winchester lineage as well.
Oh yes, but see, I didn't want to really get them all upset, so He has contacts in Altamira, two up-and-coming members of the Order of Ulick in the it's called the Ulick Defenders Against Slavery, and they get called the Slavers, and that's a bad name for a group. But they ran through the Slavers module series in the Wild Coast mostly, and have been fighting them. So we just, because of that one, oh, it's a Slavers group, and that's Alexis Winchester, and then Brianna Nouvelle, Bill's character. So there you go. So he has those contacts in Altamira. So we try and trying to connect up the campaigns as well as possible, so that it really feels like, man, there's something going on John's, and it's affecting, not in a major way, but there's connection between John's campaign and my campaign, and that's the whole idea behind it. So yeah. Don't start that, David. Oh my God, in front of an evil warrior. The Living Greyhawk people are driving me insane. Joe Selby was on. Joe was on the other day, and he's like, we're gonna prove the Iusians and the Order of Ulick are tied together. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? The next time they play. So, and that's another thing we could talk about connection-wise, John. I'm trying to make it so that, like, this Living Greyhawk group, and they're out of Greyhawk City, and they're called, they name themselves Cannon, Canon Fodder, and that this will be the third time Anna's playing in that group. But I'm trying to make them have things that are going on that affect the game out of Greyhawk. And so far, so good. It's running very well, besides the craziness of the paranoia of some of their characters. But it's running well. So
no, I love that, Jay. And again, obviously, want to be careful. We're not trying to create the same confines of canon that I would be concerned about. I didn't mean that as a pun. With the Lord of the Rings stuff in the Third Age.
Yeah.
But, as long as we can be sort of freely riffing off of one another in a way that connects this, it makes it feel like a broader community, which if I'm a player, I love that, because I feel like I'm part of a world, not just a game, not just a table, not just one DM, but I am at least tangentially influencing what's happening in a broader world community. I'm not saying that what I do should create something that's restrictive to Anna or anyone else, but just as we can influence one another, that makes a fantastic community, which is more fun for the players.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Real quick, Gitano, I need your email whispered to me to give your winnings from Thursday nights, okay, for your Troller Games winnings. So I don't know where I lost your email. Please whisper it to me. Thank you. So, Len, what do you think about what we said so far? Pretty cool, huh?
Oh, yeah.
That was the best smile I've seen in forever.
At least you said 2 words.
Yes.
Diplomacy.
That was awesome.
Well, it's not an area of the Greyhawk that I did a lot of stuff in.
Right.
As far as I know. I did Hold of the Sea Princes. I did, well, of course, Lendor, and then I did Radek, were the 3 areas where I invested some time.
True. I mean, for me, I've always been a Sheldamar Valley guy, and the farthest east I've ever really gone is Greyhawk and to the Aberals. I don't cross the Aberals and go into Ernst at all, ever. Very rarely. Like once in a blue moon, when Tim was in college, he'd throw out some Iron League adventures. He'd throw out some stuff in On Wall or ID. But that was, I mean, that was just with Tim DMing his end of it, and so we never. Oh God, please! I don't need any more. I don't need any more Thrommel vampire turnings, guys. Oh, gosh, please, guys. Oh my God, that drives me insane. But Len, I understand that as you get in your niches, right? When you DM and play, you get in your comfort zones, and that's okay, right, John? That's fine. But the Greyhawk world's so huge. I'll give Carlos credit. He runs adventures all over the place. He's all over the map. If you've seen some of the adventures he's done, as far north as what's the place up in the frozen lands that he?
Oh yeah, Jotsplat.
Oh my gosh, it's as far away as you could from anything.
That's the most isolated community in the setting, I think. Yeah.
Oh
by
my
far.
gosh.
I love that, because you got to me, I love having my campaigns. I think Anna, you said this. I forget where we were. It was a recent stream, maybe a couple of months ago. Have the players start out in a locale, get familiar with that, and then they slowly sort of move out.
Yeah, that's how I normally do it. I expand it gradually, a little bit by bit. Yeah.
Exactly. And I love that. But then over time, what I don't want to create is a banal similarity of environments. So that's one of the reasons I steered away from actually running through, for example, a dungeon grind like the original Temple of Elemental Evil, where they're going to be in there for weeks and weeks and weeks. If you look at my Fourth Age campaign, which is not, it's Lord of the Rings, not Greyhawk, but if you look at that, they have moved from Minas Tirith through the ruins of Tharbad up to the Bay of Forakel, this icy area, and back around. And I love the different environments because I think that creates a variety for the players that keeps them engaged. That's what I love about Greyhawk. So while my group is currently sort of surrounded in that, that Hamlet area and the Cron Hills and the Lortmill Mountains and Verbabonk and Nolv and all that, but I think eventually I'm loving what I'm seeing on this map, and in particular, just a personal preference, I love what I see in the southwest of the map, the dry steppes, the Sea of Dust. I intend to explore that. I don't want to give too much away, but I intend to explore that a lot with my campaign, and including some of the stuff I'm thinking about doing for OJ 34. I think that's a great area of the continent, which is still, a lot of room to explore.
We discussed that, and we went into some pretty good detail on Wednesday nights, Gabbin, about the Backlunish West, which there's stuff I did not even know because I don't use the area, and that's why I love doing those shows where we get information on things that we're just not up on. I'm trying to be a complete sponge. After 40 some years, you got to, you just I want to learn as much as I can. And Gary's been great too. Gary's been really a vital resource. Gary Julian, just because he's opened me up to some of the things that. Where is it? I know I have it here. This book, right?
Yep.
This book, don't think of it as a Living Greyhawk book, okay? Think of it as a setting before Living Greyhawk starts and they destroy everything.
Yeah.
Right? I'm being facetious here, but this book is a great future glossography if you want for the timeline. Now, Lenard and I use the original glossography, right, Lenard? Yeah. I mean, which is a good thing too. But I also use the From the Ashes box set too, with a lot of things in it, and you just incorporate it into your campaign.
Then we have to have the kind of classic. You showed the first one, but
this is the Living Greyhawk. Okay, this is the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer. This is written by Gary Julian and Eric Mona, who were both on the show last week.
Yep.
So
and then you have the classical one here that came after the folio. So this was the first kind of comprehensive guide, and then Living Greyhawk is the last one, and then From the Ashes.
And then the glossography. John's looking around the corner for something.
No, I know. I got all those modules over here, but they're out of
reach. That's okay. No problem. Yep. So that's a good book to get.
The Living Greyhawk.
And you may be able to get it. I'm not sure how inexpensive or expensive it is, but probably Drive-Thru-RPG has it.
They had PDF.
Yeah, you can always get it.
$40.99, I think it is, something like that. Yeah, it's well worth it.
Yep. But the glossography is a great starting place. And gosh, I'm getting into generalizations. Oh my gosh, John's not wearing pants. John's got his running gear on. John works out like a fiend. I'm assuming, man. You work out like crazy.
I have, but I'll tell you, COVID's kind of hurt that a little bit too. Yeah. You're going up. I'm going down, Jay.
Man, I want to. Well, I'm gonna keep the effort going. So thank you.
That's good. Yep.
So Len, besides Gary, did you ever partner or do anything on the side with another DM?
Well, yeah, a couple of my players DM'd for a while.
Oh, cool.
And
will we know any of them?
One guy was named Dave Rogan. Who's still amazingly alive. He was sickly for a long time, but he survived. And he would run these. He really liked high-level stuff. So when you got to go to the first place to adventure with him, it looked like the Hitler bunker. And he said, what am I supposed to do with this?
Was that difficult?
And it leads to the phrase, look for the back door.
Oh.
You're a damn fool if you go in the front door.
Yeah.
That almost never ever works. Unless you have a way of hiding your alignment and disguising yourself and going. That sometimes works, but then you have to have the proper magic to be able to do that.
I love Pass Wall for keeps.
Yeah.
I love that spell because then
thrillness and stuff. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite spells.
No, that's a great point too, because I think a lot of the old school modules and the original 1E stuff, 2E stuff, it was designed with the intent that players should know at times you need to run. You know, find the back door, find the retreat, and I think a lot of the newer modules that are created, you know, not by Carlos, but by, you know, sort of the newer stuff that's happening, 5e or Pathfinder, it's fairly linear, and players almost anticipate every time they need to take the monsters head on. And I feel it was much more nuanced in a lot of the old materials, which is what I prefer in my campaign.
Yeah, so someone asked if Shieldlands was your invention, Leonard, and I said no, it was Lender Isle's yours, unique to you. Yeah, so there's so much, John. There's so much cool places to start, and that's part of our hopefully you'll get this soon. Not soon because you want to develop these characters, but every 2 years. I say we start up a new group of first. I go, this is the last. This is the last group of first levels we're ever gonna do. It takes too much to plan. It takes too much for Bill to paint all the figures. It takes too much. And then 2 years later, we start a new group up, right?
Yeah,
and then
you have the miniature side of things too.
Yeah,
so,
it's ads and ads and
yeah,
ads.
I kind of like to start a new campaign because then it goes down to you don't have to have the major plots. You just have to have a cool little location with some interesting things in it, and I also especially love to have new players introduced because get them oohed and awed about things because you can just show a cool spider coming in that and it becomes that way, and I've never played before, so they're easy to kind of to amuse and scare, so to speak. The jaded players who played for decades, that nothing scares them. So yeah.
No, I love that, and I too. There's something magical about that first level character campaign.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'm so slow with XP. Even with my Greyhawk Awakening, it's
you want to keep them there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like pulling teeth to give them XP. That's fine. You need a level, and as a player, I love the joy of that. I get it, but I love keeping them in that humble place of one blow could knock me out or kill me. That is thrilling. I've played. If I go to sort of the Pathfinder side, and I like Pathfinder, I've done that a lot, so I'm not throwing shade at them or Eric Mona. I love it. But I've played Mythic campaigns with my family. There's one called Wrath of the Righteous, and that is as Mythic gets. I mean, you're talking uber stuff I've never played in 40 years. But at some point, no matter how well you try to DM it, it becomes boring, and it's just too uber. And I love that, to your point, just that sort of nascent fear that you have with a first level character.
You have to house rule a bit, so you make it scary, even then, so to speak. You have to.
That's exactly right.
House rules.
Exactly right.
Yeah, when you're helpless, you're really helpless. Or when you're flat-footed, then you can be auto-critted or
exactly. Or exactly. Like, so in my Wrath of the Righteous, I have a paladin. One of my players plays a paladin, Theoden, that's gotten very, very high level in that campaign. And of course, when he's facing an evil creature, which is mostly what you have in that campaign, it's a lot of demons, a lot of evil, his smite abilities and all, he's overpowering. But I hit him with a nice, neutral, monstrous golem, and he can't do crap against this guy. Because, exactly. So there's always ways the DM can be a bit tricky.
Oh my gosh. Len, what were you going to say?
I was going to ask about death.
Let's hear it. What's the question?
Yeah. At what point do you consider a character dead?
Ooh.
How do you structure it?
Me, it's -10. Zero's unconscious. At -1, they're out, except for Cavaliers who can stand, but they can only defend, and they have to take a potion or whatever. They go down -1 every round until -10. Now they can take area effect spells, or someone can come up, a goblin can come up, shoot them or whatever, and put them down further. But until their wounds are bound or they're healed, remember, Death's Door is a spell in old school 1E, 2E to put them back to 0. That's how I handle death.
And Leonard, so I run it exactly the same way, but with just one small wrinkle. I add the base constitution bonus to that -10. So they fall unconscious at 0. But for example, if a character has a 17 con and they have a +3, then their true death is -13, not -10. So I give them a little bit more room based on their base con, but it's essentially the same idea. And I am death on death. I don't have a lot of resurrection in my campaigns. If you do have resurrection, there are permanent consequences. There's potential for failure. There's con losses. I think death should be something players fear. And everything I've run in the last 4 or 5 years, when a player's dead and they're done.
Why'd you ask that question? I'm just curious. Just wanted to, just out of curiosity.
Because I found you've still got people out there who are saying you hit 0 and you're dead.
That's rough. That is so rough.
No.
Yeah, I don't do that.
I go down to -3 and you're completely safe. And I base it off of Constitution.
Okay.
If the Constitution is absolutely crap, if you literally have a 3 or a 4, you can die at -4.
Yes,
but
exactly. That's
if you've got a Constitution of 16, 17, 18, you're safe all the way to -7 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're very close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did what you did, Leonard, but I did it way more expanded it. So you simply have con. So if you have a con 10, if you 0 to -10, then you're in what they call in 3.5 and Pathfinder, you're staggered. You can only do one action. Otherwise, you're good, so to speak. And then when you come to from -11 to -20, all you can do is basically try to crawl away from the scene, so to speak. You can't cast any magic or anything.
I don't have the chart in front of me, but I think -15 for somebody with a Constitution of 18, that's finally death.
Yeah, so for me, it's like you need to 4 times Constitution. Yeah.
At -13, 14, he's got a pretty lousy time of it.
That's pretty.
But what I do is as you're going down, -4, -5, -6, -7, I find out where your jeopardy is. And then when somebody finally comes up to you and says, well, is he dead? I then have them roll, well, all right, if you had a 10% chance to die at -7, roll for that. Now you're at -8, roll for that. Now you're at -9, roll for that. Because you've been laying there in a pool of blood all this time.
I like that.
So you take that stair step as opposed to just going to -9 and saying, well, let me roll that. No.
Yeah.
When you went to -7, you had a chance to die. And when you went to -8, you had a chance to die. And when you went to -9, you had a chance to die. So all of those places have to be reflected.
See, death needs to be part of the game.
Character, you're dead, I meant it.
No, that's right. As Jay said, death needs to be part of the game, and I love that, Leonard. And so I think we're so close in what we're saying. And you want the Constitution to affect how far the character can go into unconsciousness before death. You want that risk. I think, death at 0, that's really, really harsh. And what that's likely to induce is a DM style that either kills everybody or is overly nerfing what's happening in the game, where they're being too careful with the damage the player gets. Yeah. We can drop into unconsciousness before death. That's normal. It's human. I think that should be in the game. Now, the opposite side of that is, and again, I'm not hating on 5e. I think there's a lot of good stuff in 5e. I've got some 5e books on my shelf, but I like this idea of short rest and get all your abilities back after a couple of hours. It feels more like a computer role-playing game, a CRPG to me. Yeah. And so the sweet spot should be between those. I don't want, click save, short rest, you got all your hit points, your abilities back, you're fine. But I also don't want, it's so easy for you to die. You don't want to do anything dangerous. And that, I think, just goes back to the original balance that Gary and Dave and the group had in the original D&D. It works.
Plus, there's spells that can. I mean, like I said, if you use the spell death store, and there's binding of wounds which you allow. There's first aid from certain classes. There's all sorts of things you can do. And Len, it's an interesting question to bring up. My one exception, by the way, also is your dreaded Cavalier, which can go to -13 because it starts on your hit points that you can start with, and they get 3 die 4 plus 1 now according to the rules, not irrespective of cons. So they can actually go to -13, but it's minor. But it's good. We're all right there. We're all right there in the same.
Well, I went extreme. I went to a whole con negative, then you only get single action, and then you get no action. You can basically just crawl, and you have to be prone, and you have to kind of crawl and try to get away from whatever, and then you're unconscious and then you're dying after that, so to speak. So you get plenty. And the reason I did that was because con doesn't scale upwards when you gain levels and go crazy, become inflated up the gazoo.
That's right.
But con, but hit point does. So that way I can boost low level creatures without making them more effective in combat. And also I want combat to be grittier, but not necessarily deadlier, so to speak. So I want to be scary. And the other effect that was scary is that enemies will put you down, make you hapless, and then take you prisoner or kill you and torture you, so to speak. So,
Sure.
so they were actually way more scary that way. And also introduced, took something from 4th edition and kept it. And that was the bloodied condition when you got below 50%. So the first half of your hit points are pure kind of just how fit you are and how lucky you are and stuff like that. So you can lose half your hit points and they come back quickly with the rest. No worries. But the other half, you start tearing into physical damage. And if you have been in the negatives, then you need clerical healing, or you need weeks in a sick bed to come back, so to speak. So that way you need magical healing. Otherwise, it will take days and days and days to be healed. So that's when you break broken bones and inner organs and all that stuff. That takes a long time.
You have the chicken soup route, and then you have the magical curing route.
Yep. So that's how I dealt with it. So I wanted to make low-level creatures survive and characters survive longer, but not necessarily be less scared of combat.
No, and something you said there I think is really important, which I've seen Jay do, and I use it. He's got his own custom crit tables. I use the old Iron Crown Enterprises Middle-earth role-playing or Lore Master crit tables and fumble tables, but they have the same idea, which is that, death is not the only bad thing that can happen. You can lose an arm, an eye, a finger, some sort of mortal wound that's not going to be healed by the cure serious wounds of the cleric, and is going to be a permanent condition for the player, which I think is another good combat effect to have. Which, I don't know if this is the direction Jay wants to go with the conversation.
But this is good. This is great. Yeah. And Len asked the question, so.
No, but the D&D system is not hit location. You got to remember that. Yeah. Every time you hit somebody, it's damage, and it's just somewhere on your body. Yeah. You don't. Right. So I am absolutely opposed to crits, and I'm opposed to critical fumbles too. It's just it's nonsense. I think it's nonsense.
So crits that just do more damage.
The way the combat system is structured. It's based on the structure of the fact that when you get hit with a sword, I don't say, well, you got hit in the arm, you got hit in the head, you got hit. Doesn't matter. Yeah. I subtract, I roll die 8 plus the guy's strength, and it's 7, and I subtract 7 from the total, and that's it. Yeah.
But most crits in most editions of D&D and Pathfinder are simply crits double the damage or triple it or something. They don't deal out.
If you roll a natural 20, I'll let you roll another 20. And based upon the weapon, then I will say, well, now you can take additional damage.
Yeah,
that's fair enough.
Now, if you're unconscious, I can lob off your ear, I can cut off your lips, I can cut your hand off, because you can't do a damn thing about it.
Yep.
So that's fine. Now that can be hit location, much to everyone's great sorrow.
Yeah.
I think the all right, let me ask this question.
Go for it.
What's the deadliest monster with 1 or 2 hit dice?
1 or 2 hit dice?
1 or 2 hit dice. That's all. 1 or 2 hit
dice.
Well, it's 3 hit
Starts
die.
with G.
Oh, I was going to say Carrion Crawler, but that's 3 hit die, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ghouls, baby.
Well, ghouls, absolutely. Ghouls are nasty. Ghouls are freaking nasty.
Hit dice, but
but you distracted me.
Ghouls can paralyze you, and you are so screwed if you're paralyzed.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, I only do the paralyzation on the hand, the claws. The bite doesn't paralyze you. I don't take 3 chances of paralyzing you.
Ghouls are
Just
nasty.
2.
Oh,
But I
that
don't
would
roll
be-
2. If you get hit with one hand or two hand, I still
One
only
save.
roll once to see if you're paralyzed.
Could I ask Leonard a question, Jay?
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm really interested because what you said about, I get it, base D&D does not have locational hits.
Correct.
Locational hits are a huge part of all the campaigns I run. Sometimes they're just narrative. I don't like telling the player, okay, you swing, you did 7 points of damage. I like describing what they did. And sometimes I'll just randomize that. It doesn't really mean anything. I'll just say, you slide your sword along his ribs and flay them open. You see a bone. It's a little bit of descriptive. But then I also like, as I said earlier, I introduce non-D&D stuff. So I have the Middle Earth, or Jay has custom tables. What do you feel is wrong with introducing locational hits to D&D?
Well, you've got a bunch of maimed people walking around pretending to be heroes, and it takes away from the concept of a heroic fantasy. If you've got hit location, your players are going to be missing eyes and ears, and their lip is going to be split open, and their hand is gone, or part of their fingers are gone, and that stuff don't come back. That stuff just doesn't come back. So the players are in really crappy shape. It's all like
Yeah.
they're walking around on peg legs. One of them's got a crutch.
Yeah. But that
It
could be
It gets
fun.
pretty morbid pretty fast.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
It's
I
like
like that, yeah.
it's like killing them but not killing them.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can get Leonard to yell at me for the first time ever. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree to disagree, because there are spells that have been incorporated, and they're in Unearthed Arcana to remedy those situations. Fingers lost. An illusionist can actually do a dream spell overnight to bring back ears, noses, eyes, fingers. Yeah.
For real?
For real, right in Unearthed Arcana, Leonard. I'm not making it up.
Oh,
It's
wow.
called Dream. For minor injuries like that, and it's an illusionist spell.
What edition is that?
This is first edition.
Arcana would be 1E2E, right?
Unearthed Arcana. I swear to God, Len, I'm not making them up. Bill, am I making this
there
up?
must be
I'm not.
like a healing spell should do.
Yes, it's called
take care of
Dream.
that too.
Yeah, or you get restoration.
It's right in first edition.
Yeah, all I'll say is I think Leonard makes a great point. I will never deign to argue with this man. I've never.
No, I just wanted to agree to disagree,
Like,
because I want to be honest here.
Well, if you're going to yell at Jay,
Please, yeah.
Listen, I am not making it up. If you do not believe me, go into your Unearthed Arcana. See, this is the thing. People don't read spells. There are some nasty illusionist spells. Mirage Arcane, Tempest Fugit, Dream. There are Vanish. There are some unbelievable illusionist spells in Unearthed Arcana, and they change that class. And go ahead, Len. Len's looking it up now because he doesn't believe me.
I am.
I swear to God, it's in there, Len.
Let me just, Leonard Luce, I'll speak my piece, because here's my perspective on this. And again, I'm just, a squirrel getting a nut in this incredible, menagerie of talent on this stream. But to me, I don't want to be overly realistic. I'm not playing a battle simulator. That's one of the reasons I never really hooked up with 4E. I felt it got very tactical, felt more like a board game. And I think I've already made some edition people mad. I don't care about editions. I really don't. But to me, there's no such thing as generic damage. I want my players to feel like they're in a fight. And I don't have hobbled players walking around, en masse, but I think if a DM properly balances, every once in a while losing a finger, every once in a while losing an eye, every once in a while, it makes it feel more realistic. I don't want the Walking Dead wandering through my campaign, hobbling on crutches and limping into town. That's not very heroic. You're 100% right. But I think a good DM can balance that properly, and it still makes it real for the players. That's just my 2 cents.
What's the name of this dream spell you're talking
He's
about?
fixated. Dream. It's a dream spell. It's your 4th or 5th level illusionist. Swear to God, Len, it's in Unearthed
In
Arcana.
Unearthed Arcana.
Yes.
I'm not seeing it.
Oh, man. I don't
Now
have
you
it
have to
here.
dig
Page
in there.
69.
There, page 69.
69 is mighty fine, but I never.
What a night!
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's 5th level. Thank you, Mike Saxon. It's 5th level.
Yeah.
See, I'm not trying to be. I'm just saying that I love the randomness of worrying and see.
Yeah.
There's a form of limited wish.
Yep.
God,
How the hell did that pass editing? Yep.
It's in there. Look.
Limited wish is a 7th level spell.
It's not. It's very limited. Read it. You can only get fingers and ears back and stuff.
It's a limitation of limited wish.
But they really get them back. So it's not just an illusion.
No, I veto that right out.
You can do that as a DM.
Doing the illusion of this thing, and it doesn't know.
Oh, hey, it's Gary's book, Len. Come on.
Yeah,
Jay, you're just trying to make him yell at you. I see what you're doing.
No, I agree to disagree. No. He had to go. It's 8:25. He always does that.
Same time.
That was awesome. So I didn't go off on a tangent. That was a great question from Len.
No, he's awesome. I just love him.
To have a legend of the game twice a week almost is just I'm blessed.
It's incredible.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So thank you all for bearing in on that. That was a great discussion, actually, and we got some time here to get back on topic a little bit. We're gonna have open Q&A in about a half hour about both campaigns, and feel free to ask John away, man. If you don't want to ask anything about mine, that's fine. John's here. Let's ask him away.
Yep, exactly.
All right. So I want to show you something, John.
Okay.
This character's named Chantel, Specialty Priestess of Soul, and her Philandera, 8th level. Okay?
Okay.
This character is named Real, Fighter Cleric, 910.
Yeah.
Okay? She's in the Fesvi. And this one, which I had played a couple weeks ago as an NPC, roughly, is Jasia, 11th level Specialty Priestess of Soul, and her Philandera, the second in command of the Order of Ulick and Selene. What do they have in common with your campaign?
I'm guessing they're all engaged in some way with the Dark Brotherhood.
They're all Ashrin's older sisters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Remember how she said she was the 4th?
Yes.
Yes. So
super cool. Can you send those to me, Jay?
I'll scan them and send them to you. Absolutely. Yes.
I'd love to have that.
So GC is 291, Rael's 180, and Chantel's 170 actually. And remember, she said that her father didn't want her to go out adventuring until she was, I think, 160 or whatever. Now she's 150, so she went left, and that was the whole point. So that's a connection we have there, is that Ashrin is the 4th of those daughters out of the House Thronedale in Selene. And real quick here, let's pop this up. Am I gonna hit the wrong button? I know. After the show, I want to talk to you about something real quick here.
Okay.
Regarding it. So see, if you can see above the O, there's the Thronedale estate that they're from in Selene, and I have all the estates mapped out for all the noble Grey Elven houses of Selene on the map, and some other locations. So another interesting tidbit is that their cousin was Lord Gazumba's wife, who got killed permanently, got sucked into a sphere of annihilation, actually, and he's been a widower. He's been a widower ever since. So just a little side story there. So trying to make the connections as well. But when John and I first plotted this, I was like, I need to get a character in that has a connection into what's going on. Hey, I'll just make a 4th sister up, and that's what we did. So hopefully you guys like Ashrin, but it sounds like that Millie and Ashrin don't get along in your game.
Well, Ashrin took a liking to Uthar, and so that created. Millie doesn't. She's got a little jealous streak in her, and so anybody in the party that draws the attention of others against her is not her favorite, and so they definitely had a little bit of back and forth. But Ashrin's here to stay, and she's actually quite well liked by other members of the party. Just Millie doesn't like her.
And that's okay. Look at Jasia. Bill hates her. Bill. Oh, it doesn't matter what character Bill's playing. He hates that character. It could be the first level characters, and because he never liked her because she's really arrogant out of all four. And Rael's very soft spoken, and Bill's other character, he has a half orc named Jonar Doombug, who's actually in love with the Grey Elf, and so he wished that when he's around her, he appears half elven. Kind of a crazy wish. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So some really neat stuff going on. But there he goes. There's Bill talking. So Anna and I kind of I was honored that you kind of reversed my name and as your Rennie character. That was kind of.
You like that?
That was pretty cool. Yes,
especially the Rennie character Yaj Talks, which by the way we've seen in the chat today. People are asking for him to come back.
Yes,
cool.
He's a fun guy, a bit roguish. Stole some documents from the Baron of Narwhal, and now is ranging through the hills, kind of fleeing the headhunters that are coming after him. He's going to be a recurring character, and I think he's going to be a lot of fun. And even if you come back to Halia and the betrayal. Part of what I'm doing with the Greyhawk Awakening campaign is I like multiple layers and threads. So there's some plot things which may resolve more quickly, other things which may be going on years from now. And I'm not in a rush to resolve what's happening with Halia and the Dark Brotherhood. That's a fun sort of side story which could become a main story very soon. But then this last week, I don't know if you caught it, Anna, but since I've got you here, I'm going to enjoy. So the party was heading into the Cron Hills to investigate this fort, which had been established by orcs, which were somehow connected with the Red Lords, which were the new inhabitants of the Moat House 40 years after the original Hamlet. So we're in the proper year. It had fallen into even greater disrepair and had been inhabited by these bandits. And these Red Lords are connected to some creature called Gajal, which is apparently an orcish warlord that has, and you're not going to believe what's coming. I've got, some really cool, like not me, but I got some supporters, minis, amazing stuff coming. In any case, they're going to investigate in the Cron Hills to go to this fort. And Rufus and Byrne, who have been absent from Hamlet, now 40 years advanced, but still, quite prominent, quite powerful members, leading what's happening in Hamlet. They've been in Greyhawk. They're coming back. Their lieutenant, Galen, has informed the party that he sent them a ranger who she's an amazingly talented ranger by the name of Rayem, Reyem, who knows these hills like the lines of her child's face, like the back of her hands, as though she drew them herself. And she's guiding them through the Cron Hills as though she can pick past every stone. And I just love throwing these homages to you and all the folks at Greyhawk.
Yeah,
it's a very kind and comical gesture, especially the Rennie, the suave Rennie guy, which is so much.
I played him. He smelled heavily of some sort of colognes and was a bit, sort of swarthy and boastful in his demeanor. Kind of turned off the party a bit, but he was a lot of fun.
Oh, it's definitely it's an absolute blast. Awesome.
Yeah,
I'm just so happy you're having a fun time playing, and that the community is enjoying. All right, I'm gonna put this out there to anyone, Sean, if you're on, especially, and anyone else who was a real supporter of Greyhawk, the Greyhawk channel. I mean, you got a lot in common with Shane, your style of descriptiveness, and that's a great thing. What do you think about that? If anyone wants to comment in the audience, I think that's a great. A great trait you have is that Shane was
streaming into stardom instantly, so to speak.
Well, I'm not sure if any of our crew, because here's a sad thing: when they stopped, they lost we had like 2,800 followers, and I'd say there was no crossover between our shows, unfortunately, and I'm hoping that audience will go over to your game, and that would be great.
We can make sure we get them back into the community again.
Absolutely. So let's hope for that. That's going on. So John, tell me something you think of, you want to do, or that you like to further connect us, and beyond that, beyond just me, maybe even other communities or whatever. I'd like to hear some ideas, or one idea.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I think, first of all, I really am excited about the connections to the Order of Ulek and all the things that we have now, originally in mind for Uthar, but Shorewin, and I have many plans involved with the campaign. But part of what I believe in is, like you talked about the descriptiveness a moment ago, Jay. I don't put my campaign on rails. So as much as I do with terrain and minis, you can kind of see, I think, on the corner, I got this, when I'm playing my Sunday campaign, I use the smaller table with this cool Lazy Susan and all the minis. I can't touch what Jay does, but I do the best I can. And then on my Tuesday streams, I got a bigger table, but I never let the minis and the terrain be a substitute for the DM narrative and story. And so I really want my players to feel immersed, and I use these things to enhance that sense of immersion, suspension of disbelief, never as a substitute for me doing the theater of mind, DMing narrative descriptions. As I see this moving forward, I really want to see us grow this connection with the Order of Ulek. And then I am very interested in exploring other parts of the world, as I said earlier, including out to the west. Anna's maps, I think, will be a great connection. I like what Will's doing with Wicked Studios. And I think anything that we can do with these different Greyhawk campaigns to connect them, I'm all for. I really would like to see some PC crossovers. So maybe a show where you have one of my PCs or I have one of your PCs in the show, NPCs connecting in a way that, again, I don't want to be disruptive, of course, to what you've done for 40 years.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think this would be a lot of fun for us to trade a couple of PCs and NPCs and interconnect these stories in a way that feels like it's a broader mosaic than just one person's campaign.
And that's I think that'll grow the community even further, because when you have linked together multiple channels, and not to toot my own horn, but we've 2 years in a row, and John, you're going to participate in the third year next in 2021. We have done our Greyhawk fundraiser event, and the first year we did an Orb of the Dragonkind story, and the first year I had Marco was my other DM. I had Will, and Will was great. Will did evil. He did like the toady minions of this wizard trying to get this orb out. Remember? And they were playing. It was freaking hysterical. And then and then I finished it up, and we raised $1,000 for St. Jude. So last February, Carlos Lysing started. We did Return of the Falcon, which is the 3 Falcon adventures, which always left me wanting. I don't know if you've read them. They just leave me with just like, So Carlos went, then Jimmy Duffy Prater's Rejects went, then Will went, then Nightheart Gaming went, all with their own stories, all interlinked, and then we went in the finale. We raised $2,500 in February, and it was fantastic. And I just am hoping that we can surpass that for next year's one. And I've already got some ideas churning in my head about how we should go and what storyline to go on that. So it was 24 hours. If six streams, 4 hours each, 24 to 26 hours. Hey, just some people have shitty time slots. But that's another way the community thing. I think that is done. Anna, what do you think? That's to date has done more for us than almost anything we've done.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Greyhawk Con is a awesome extension of that. So
absolutely. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that.
Well, with St. Jude, so like I've got a St. Jude's hospital here just a few miles from me, and what they do is incredible. And so we have community, and then we have community, right? And I love the Greyhawk community and what we're doing here, but then our opportunity to influence the broader community to do good for others. This to me, and I've said this, I'm not doing a Twitch stream so I can make money. This is not my income. This is not my job. I do this because I love it and I want to influence and grow this. I think it's a fantastic, I mentioned this on an interview I did a couple of days ago. The thing I hate to hear most is a person who gets exposed to D&D and says, I didn't really like it. What that tells me every time is they probably did not have a good game, a good DM, a good system. So the more that all of us are doing to tell these stories and show others, I think that's a lot of what Twitch does. Is it's a venue, it's a platform to show people what D&D really can be. this deeper, broader experience, then that grows the community. Guess what happens? You grow the community, you grow the resources, you grow the size of the pie. We all get bigger pieces, more materials, more sort of social media stuff, more engagement in the broader media platforms and TV shows and all the things that are happening, where you're seeing whether it's Stranger Things, spotlights on old school 80s D&D or Game of Thrones or whatever it is. The more we grow that, the more resources we get to grow the community, and I think that's a great thing we can do.
Yep.
It's a fantastic point, because I feel like we're teetering right there. I'm hoping that we'll discuss this near the end. What we're going to all do in October is going to take us over the top. I think. I hope so. I think it's coming along.
Pie.
Yeah, Gary. So, Gary, I got great news for you. Gary. You're not the only host right now on the Ask the Expert show. Len has agreed to come on the show with you. So there you go. We got 2 Ask the Experts for the end of Greyhawk Con in October. So, but we'll get some more. I may ask Eric to come back. I already asked Eric to play, and I was shocked when he said yes. So I was like, oh my God. So you got to take advantage of whenever. It never hurts to ask a question, because the worst thing you can say is no. If they say F no, well then, hey, but yeah, right. Ask the question. So, all right, I got another idea for connection.
Lenard will never come on Lore Masters Arcanum on my show now, since we argued about locational crits and hits.
Oh, hey, he's good for every Wednesday night for 25 minutes of that show from 8 to 8:25 Eastern. Boom, and at 8 he doesn't say goodbye right off. So, yes. Mortals should not sit with demigods. Oh, come on, Gary! Don't speak that way about yourself. You are on the up there as well. I mean, look at that book.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly how I felt. Like, even it's saying,
what's that say right there? Gary Julian, right? Eric Mona. Come on.
I mean, Gary, you leveled up a long time ago. Jay had just leveled up a wizard tonight.
I just caught up.
Yeah.
All right. Here's an idea, and I should have done this for your Cavalier.
Yes.
Anna and I are getting really good at heraldry. He should have Sir Harn's heraldry, which I've never made. But the champion of the County of Ulick,
down and do it. Yeah.
The champion of the County of Ulick should have a heraldic symbol. So I'm going to work on that and try and get it to you by Tuesday.
No, thank you, because I want that. And actually, I've got an artist, as you know, Frederica Draw. She's amazing. She's already completed the Cavalier.
Okay.
It should be ready by Tuesday. And I'm going to have her do some additional heraldry. For example, the Wayward Bolt is the name of the party.
Oh, that's an awesome name.
And they've created their own sort of rudimentary heraldry. I'm going to send it to her, and it'll just be for our campaign. I'm not trying to say, this will be on an Anna map anytime soon, but it's just going to be a fun
your
thing.
version, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, my version. Yeah, that'd be fun. And the players, I think they like this idea of that. Greyhawk heraldry is so fantastic. So please do that, Jay.
I will. Absolutely. I was jotting down my notes for tonight, and I'm like, heraldry. We should talk about heraldry. I made a bunch. Yeah. Oh my gosh! I mean, Sir Harn's a champion. He needs a heraldic symbol. So I made the Winchester symbol, for God's sake. So I should have a freaking Sir Harn symbol.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful addition to your campaign, and that makes them make use of knowledge, nobility, and history and stuff like that. So nerdy players, you can really get them, and it's so much fun. You can, if you have like a noble dinner and just be able to come in and speak at a court. At a royal court, or even like a court of a baron or some other nobility, you have to address people properly. And I had an adventure where they took 2 sessions just for the characters to figure out how to properly address, so they knew they wouldn't be thrown out or something, because you had to rehearse and tell the sergeant at arms outside of the courthouse how you're going to address. If you couldn't address him, you wouldn't even get through the door. And then you have to tell who you're asking to talk to and be able to address them, and just figure all that out took 2 sessions of adventuring and bribing and whatnot in order to get it. So you can have a lot of fun with stuff like that. And if they say the wrong thing, damn, it could be very complicated. Yep.
I love that. It's verbal combat, right?
Yeah. Yep. And have heraldry as part of it, so to speak.
I love that, Anna. So like a lot of the early stuff you said I already had in my mind, but when you talked about sort of putting them in a position at speaking at a court, at a dinner, I think that's a fantastic idea. So, not next week, but at some point in this campaign, you're going to see that for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because it's so much fun, and that kind of makes the world rich. And
Exactly.
and you don't demand that the players should know all of it. What you do is that the way I did it was that they had the skill, and then they rolled a DC, and then they found out a little bit. So I made it like they can find out more and more, and then they find out, and then they had to verify it. So they had to test it, find the right person to test their knowledge to see if it actually was that, and so on and so forth. They could be a lot of fun. And if it's sensitive information and stuff, then all of a sudden you can kind of, because then the king or the baron or whoever it is might find out there's someone going around asking about you and whatever, and that can be sensitive too. So yeah.
No, I love that because if I'm sorry, Jake.
No, I was going to say court intrigue and political discussions and the festivals and things like are great. But you're not going to have combat unless it's like jousting or just fighting
or maybe insult the wrong person.
Exactly.
Could happen, right? Could be fun. But no, I love that because if you come back to the thought we had earlier about changing locales and environments and elements of the world, the frozen north, the dry southwest, the verdant middle parts of the continent, the same thing is true of the role play experiences.
Yeah.
It can't be all combat, it can't be all camping, it can't be all talking to townsfolk, and having sort of a verbal joust, if you will, that is part of the heraldry and the nobility and all of that danger and intrigue. That's a fantastic element.
And meaning a court, that could be like a dungeon to go through. You can have a couple of sessions. I've had like 3 sessions where it's been like a day at court. They have to go through negotiations. They have to go through lunch, or 5-course dinner, a party, a theatric play with illusions and all sorts of stuff happening. And then the nightly expanses when everybody goes everywhere and drinking and drugs and everything gets out of hand or whatever, and it can be awesome fun. That can be like a dungeon adventure in itself as a different environment.
Anna, will you spend 30 minutes on a Zoom call with me before I run that stuff and help me through that? Because I'd love to do that. And I know you could help me a lot.
Just with the illusionist spells, no dream spells.
Exactly. Yes. Yep.
Nothing from Unearthed Arcana basic.
And that you can have an adventure where the bard can be the obvious hero at a thing like that.
All right, so I have to tell this story. It was in Tim's campaign, real quick. He put me through one of these. The ever mysterious Tim, he just hopped on. So I have this character, Kixano, in his world, and he did one of these 3-part poison things that anti-paladins can do. First off, I go in, my character's all hobnobbing. Oh, hey, Kixano, how you doing? And it turns out this guy was an anti-paladin. I didn't know it, so my character's neutral good. And then, so if you ate the food and drank the wine, then went into this back room where this fog was, that was a 3-part poison, and then you would, because it's an art form to them. And of course, Tim, every adventure scared the shit out of me. But it was one of those adventures that, there was no combat. It was all, discussion and repartee and stuff. So yeah, Tim's a genius when it comes to that stuff. So, all right. That's cool. Gary Julian asked a question real quick. The picture I have below that below John and Anna, that is my basement, and this is where I got a lot of the idea to do all this. That Thursday night, I said, let's have a pre-night before PAX Unplugged in Philly goes off. This is last winter, and let's have a Greyhawk All-Stars game. So there's me, standing up's Christoph. Christoph's partner Anita is sitting there, and Anita played a character. And then Anna has Imri Sauerel, the Ranger Mage. So I based a story around her. And so this was our first all-star game we had.
And it was so much fun. It was like 6 hours of awesome fun.
Yeah, it was a blast. So I'm going to let this scroll again through. Now you'll see all my players, even the ones who hide out on the stream, you'll see them now pop up. All right, and I'll just let this run again. So that's what it was, Gary. And Casey drove from Boston down for the Falcon fundraiser end, and so he was there for it. and Anna played it remotely. And this is where kind of I got the idea to run these one shots of all these other groups and to kind of do some crossovers. So that's why I put that up there as the beginning point for when we started doing stuff.
I think it was pizza because we had pizza before we went down and started games. So I think there was some slices left.
Yes, my wife made homemade wings and pizza and stuff.
Yeah,
so
we had awesome pizza before we
cool.
started.
What's up, Brian Sublime? Man, everyone who's got a game during Virtual Greyhawk Con is on, and it's DMing. That's awesome. So here's another thing: map development, John. I know we're both blessed because we're kind of spoiled with Anna.
No, we're super spoiled.
Right.
Thank you.
We're both super spoiled with Anna. So the great thing is that when we have a location, we can actually put it on the map now, right? And what does that do for your campaign?
No, I think, Jay, that really speaks like what I'm trying to do, what you're doing, what all of us as DMs, we're trying to tell stories and we're trying to create this amazing experience for our players. And I get a thrill and a charge when I see my players have that sense of wonder and, oh my gosh. So when you're influencing a world, you know, whether you take over a keep, whether you construct an area, you influence a town, and then you physically see that represented on a map. This is what your players have done for 40 years, you know, up and down the coast or the mountains of, you know, the Order of Ulek and the county there. You know, just it's incredible what you've done because the players really see themselves influencing a world. And again, this is not that I expect Anna to do anything for me, but I'm just saying like having someone who's so invested in Greyhawk and who is, you know, this is the true living Greyhawk. You know, it's where it's changing and growing based on the campaigns. What Anna's doing is incredible, and it just creates a sense of immersion for the players that goes a level deeper.
Yeah, but I also think that what I've done for you, I want every Greyhawk DM to be able to do, because the final goal with my mapping is to provide a canvas and the base information. And I would love to have a simple app or whatever where anyone who's playing can just take the standard kind of everyday Greyhawk, the kind of the base canvas, and then go in and change it during play and while they're prepping games to suit their campaign. And exactly. So when their players are building a keep, they could just put it on the map and stuff. So
hopefully I don't kill my camera here, Anna.
There you go.
Spin this around and just show everybody Anna's Greyhawk map and its 46-inch glory on my gaming wall. And it has just really created such a great environment for our campaigns.
It's beautiful.
So I can spill the beans a little bit. I just posted, I think it was yesterday, on my Patreon blog, the first steps that I'm doing for my upcoming Shieldlands campaign, because I will create a local map that will span 100 by 100 miles roughly. And that will be down to minutia, so to speak. That will be like a dungeon map, 100
I saw that. I got your Patreon email. Like that's wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. So that's I've done the first 2 steps out of like 10 or so in order to make it. And it's kind of a test. It's been tantalizingly possible for 10 years without really being possible, but now it's almost possible. So I'm trying to push the technical and limits to try and do it, so to speak, and create something that will facilitate to basically treat the outside wilderness by 50 miles in every direction from where we start as a big dungeon. And so you can play and find every little hut and every little hideout for whatever and so on. And so that will be like the canvas we're playing on. And that will be fantastic. a test thing, because if I can get the technology down and so on, we can start doing all the famous locations and I have a whole lineup of project, and Lendor Isles and Ratika are the first ones that will get that full treatment. I started on both of them. but they're not really up to par. I want to do something that is better than had been possible. So now I'm almost there, so to speak. So I'm slowly getting there. So yeah.
Well, John,
like I said, when I read your, sorry, go ahead.
Can we ask the audience once what was the rough cost of that print?
Yeah, so I was actually going to say, so first of all, so Anna, like I read your Patreon email, the depth and the inspiration and really just the passion that you put into this. I'm not trying to be sycophantic, but like this is legitimate fanboy here. I just can't believe how much you put into this and what it means for all of us. Now, to the question, I think I saw that from a couple of folks. It was not that bad. So all I did was I took Anna's file, the 4K version of the map. It's full. It's a pretty good size file. Put it on a good size USB drive. I brought it down to my local FedEx Kinko's. Now, it wasn't cheap, so I'm not trying to minimize this, but it was like $60, I think,
That's
65 bucks. It's not bad. And they'll, get it on a wide format printer. If I do this again, which I probably will in the future, I would have chosen a glossier stock. This is a bit matte. I would like it to be a little more semi-gloss than what I have. So it might cost a little bit more. I just didn't specify the paper. But it's not that bad. You can take it to any local, sort of Kinko's, FedEx, or whatever your local copy shop is. All you need is a good 42-inch wide printer. And of course, they can print as long as they need. And I would have gone bigger. Someone said that they would have gone bigger. I just don't have room on my wall for anything bigger. So that was the biggest I could get on my wall.
I can mention that the real size of the map, if you want to print the map 1-to-1 in real size, it's 116 by 110 inches.
Which is what I would prefer, by the way, because I'll just be honest. At 46 by 42 inches, 4 feet-ish, there are some really small things that are still difficult to read. So if you've got the room like Jay and you can print 116 inches, you should do that, and you're probably going to need a double. Well, actually, no, never mind.
The problem is that costs like $1,000 to $1,500.
Exactly. Yeah, those kind of 100-inch printers are very different.
I've asked around, and there are few that can print that. They can print 100 inches wide and 110, 120, but they will cost $1,000 or more.
Yeah, absolutely. But that 4 foot, wide, it still looks beautiful on my wall.
From a distance,
I can see all the major countries. I can get close. I can see most everything. It's just the very, very small things I can't see. But if I want that to decorate my wall and give me the sense of the Flyness and Ulrich and all that's here and seeing all the different countries, it's beautiful. And it's not that expensive. So, don't feel like you got to find a 100-inch printer and spend $1,000. You can find a local printer, 46-inch, 42-inch wide, 46-inch long, create a beautiful print that will adorn your wall and give you Anna Greyhawk map loveliness all the time.
Yeah, but there is an alternative route that wasn't available a few years ago, and that's actually to get a 4K TV. And if you have a game room, hook up a 4K TV because that will cost you $500, and then you can show whatever you want, and then you can have the latest update the maps every session, and you can zoom in and you can do all sorts of stuff. So that's another way of going, because that way you're not static. If you update, you change off it.
And I do both, Anna, right? Exactly. So I've got the map. But I've got
you and Jay, you have dream game room. So you did it all.
Jay's got the dream game room. Mine's an afternoon nap game room, but I've got a 4K TV up here, and so my players, I can zoom in, and then I share that on my Twitch stream. I can get really close into the different areas of the campaign. The map is more just for the sort of the visual power and effect of the world. Anyway, but enough on that. But it's fantastic. Thank you.
I'm going to tell you why I don't have a print of it. I have her edited every week.
Yep.
Now I'm like,
that's why I don't have any print. I have one print of it.
I got to add that. I forgot that.
Yeah, every time I've talked to you, Jay, you've said like, "Oh, I forgot to tell her this. Oh, I forgot to add this."
I always forget something. I mean, there's always a spot or a location that should have gone on there, and they just come back into memory. And Anna's kind enough to, hey, we get on Zoom on a Friday morning. I'm like, hey, Anna, you put this on. I'm gonna need it.
That way we do it. It's like an hour every week. Yep.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm really spoiled, guys. Sorry, I'm giving away secrets here. So
EcoPrat has.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Anna.
I would say EcoPrat has a good question. What about a projector? And I've used the projector for many years. I actually, back in Sweden before I moved here, when projectors starting to be the latest, I actually had a ceiling mounted projector that projected down to my kitchen table, and we ran on it. And back then there was no dedicated VTT, so I basically used Illustrator and Photoshop and just used the fog of war. And sometimes I had counters on the computer. Sometimes we had miniatures on the table, and that can work. If you have a good setup, it can work surprisingly well. But projectors are tricky in some ways. Actually, up to a few years ago, I would definitely recommend a projector. But now monitors are usually better. If you are stationary and don't want to move it from one location to another, then a TV is usually, I think, they're cheaper and get much better resolution and pictures.
So you're sort of in my wheelhouse here, Anna. So I've got a theater next to this room, which is why this room is not bigger. And I've got a 4K projector in that room to create a 110-inch screen. But moving forward, I would never do that because the sort of the TV, the LCD technology has gotten to the point where you can get really big screens, really inexpensive, not just 4K, but OLED. You can get HDR, the full color gamut for far less than you can get a projector. So unless you have some massive 140-inch application for what you're doing, you're always going to be cheaper getting yourself an LCD.
Yep. It's only if you want to be mobile, if you want to move it to conference room,
absolutely,
conventions and stuff. But if you have a game room and a dedicated table, I would definitely go the monitor route too, or the TV route rather than have the projector.
So everyone online knows that Anna's maps are zoomable to a really great detail level. So if you get that map and you can go right down.
It's about a mile per pixel.
Well, that's still.
But I want to move from that mile to my Shieldlands map to 5 feet. I want to move from a mile per pixel to 5 feet per pixel.
That's insanity.
That's
a good insanity.
Yeah.
So John,
use the restroom real quick. I'm going to come right back down.
No problem.
Give me 5
Ponder
minutes.
this. You should knock that wall down and get rid of the projector.
I know. I saw that. I kind of like my theater, but I don't use it as much as the game room. So maybe you're right.
You're right. Yeah.
Yes.
But I did want to answer one question, if I could, Jay.
Sure, go for it.
It was somebody. It was I can't even pronounce the name. Here, let me see if I can find it.
It's Amy?
Something or other, and then Steve Bloodwild reposted it. Asked me when I started teaching my kids to play, and this is a great passion of mine because I love teaching the game to the next generation. So I talked about when I started playing. So if you look at what I do now, you see the things I stream. I've got my weekly campaign on Sundays, which is the Pathfinder, Eric Mona and all that. So it's really cool. But then Greyhawk Awakening is my main campaign on Tuesday nights. But then I also have a monthly campaign, which is Lord of the Rings campaign, the Fourth Age, which is almost 5 years now, which is, baby in Jay's eyes. But then I also have a campaign that I run with my family, which I don't stream. And it's just my kids and my wife. And I believe in this game so much because it gave me so much. When I was a kid, I believe D&D has a lot to do with my career, my imagination, the books that I've read, the expansion of my vocabulary, my ability to present in front of people, to communicate, all the things that I've done throughout my life. I trace a lot of them back to D&D, and I wanted to give that to my kids. So I started with my kids when my daughter was 8 or 9 and my son was 6. And they've been playing ever since that age. And then, of course, my youngest was born. She's only 9 now. I started her she was sitting at the table at age 4. She wasn't doing much. She was just kind of listening. At age 5, she had a character, and we kept it very simple for her, but she was at least exposed to it and playing. And it still brings my 22-year-old daughter who's graduated college comes home to play. My 19-year-old son off to college comes home to play. My 9-year-old daughter sits at the table, and it brings the whole family around the table in a way that a game of Risk or Stratego or Canasta or whatever it is will never do. And D&D has brought our family so many fantastic memories. I'll never forget, last thing I'll say on this is, before my daughter went off to college, when she was 18, we concluded I'd run a campaign with the family for about 7-8 years by that point. And I knew it was the concluding session before she left for college. And everything sort of came together in this moment. And it was just our basement. We weren't streaming anything. I took sort of that ending track from the Return of the King with this huge sort of soaring orchestral music and the emotion, and we played the game, and we wept around the table, and we hugged each other, and it was just this magical memory of D&D and family, and this sort of graduation, the campaign mirroring her life as she moved on to the next stage. And so I tell anyone, if you've got friends, family, get them involved in this game. You'll create fantastic memories. Sorry, I got on a soapbox.
No, that was fantastic.
That's wonderful. Yeah, so
all right, I'll be right back. I got to pee.
No problem. So, all right, I'm going to take some we got about a half hour. We're going to take some after John comes back. Take some general campaign questions about what we're doing in the world of Greyhawk for both campaigns. Shoot away, guys. Mike Tyson. Oh my God, Josh. Sometimes I don't even know what you're talking about. You got to post a picture of Mike Tyson with 2 birds. Am I missing that? Oh, John is.
Oh yeah, he's.
Oh, did you use the restroom? You weren't that quick.
I don't think that was. I don't think it was that quick. Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, because it was frozen. I was like,
Yep. He paused it for like 2 seconds, and then the time stop spell, and then that what happened. So.
Yes. So I had a quick. Hope it comes before Thursday. There we go. All right. So what we got here? Shout out. Let's send a shout out to the Earth Journal. You know what, Bishop? The Earth Journal is it's a fantastic. Oh, there. All right. So Earth Journal.
Yeah.
The latest Earth Journal came. Earth Journal 33. Victoria's artwork is awesome. Okay.
And mine is on the kitchen table. I haven't.
Look at this. Death Knight versus Lich. Lands of the Dead versus Gary Julian right there. So Gary's on there. John Roy. A lot of great work. My Undead Hunter is in the very back. All right. So that class is the first class I've released from my campaign. It's a homebrew custom that I've done for 182E rules. That's in here. Please feel free to playtest it and ask me any questions about it. So there's a lot of great things in this quarter's Earth Journal. It is a fantastic, another community publication that is allowing us all to get together and grow as a community. And I love the a little bit more matte finish on this one than the previous one. So looking forward to writing something up for Earth Journal 34. So David, just ask Christoph to resend you one. Yeah. I just tell you never got it. So how do you get a hold of that, Mike? All right. Can someone link the Patreon for? Can someone link the Patreon for the Earth Journals?
That in a second.
Mike, if you write for it or you edit or do something special for it, you automatically get a copy. There's a Patreon that's every quarter. Yeah, we could. So there's 3 right now. One is impossible to get. Here are the 3. This is the GaryCon version for 2019, and there were only 100 of these made. And I'm sorry, guys, no matter what you try to bribe me with cost-wise, I am not getting rid of this version. This was the first print in over a decade, Anna, of
yeah, I think so. Yeah, so, I don't think I think that's the first one ever. I don't think they actually printed any of the earlier editions. If I
this was my first ever article, and I talk about the Order of Ulick and the situation in the Shield Lands. All right.
Yep.
Then this last one was issue 32. Okay. Infinite Earths. And then now this one was a General Greyhawk Online with a lot of, I think this is the best one to date, definitely. So all 3 of them are in print. Now they're all available at Greyhawk Online in PDF. Every single Earth Journal from 33 all the way back to number 1 is available there. So, well, trust me, when that Overlord comes out from Mike Disney, we are going to be cranking on it. So we already, Bill's already got an adventure he's surmised in his head, Build a Master Crafter, and we're going to work on that when we get that. Probably not till 2021, but we will be getting that. But that's a great point about it. So David, mail's slow, man. I mean, Mike sent me something last week, and I still haven't gotten it. So, thanks, John. It's fun, isn't it, man? Getting all these subs.
No, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And
it just
I love it. By the way, I think I mentioned this earlier, but I just want to repeat. Mike Disney's going to be on with my Lore Masters Arcanum on Wednesday night. And we're going to do sort of painting tips and tutorials, and he's really talented. So
absolutely,
definitely.
He has. I have a figure coming from him, the Skarn figure painted. I'm going to use it for my dwarf NPC in the game we're doing now. It was a 3D print. It's beautiful. Okay. I lost my train of thought here. Questions. Jay, meaning to ask you, what movie or shows is that subscription cheer from? Okay, good question. They are from The Legend of the Seeker that came out in the early 2000s. All right, it was 2 seasons long. It's based on books. They were supposed to do a 3rd season, but it got canceled after 2 seasons. And I kind of, the 2 characters, the dark-haired one's Kaylin, and she's like what's called a confessor, and the other one's Kara, and she is an ex, oh God, what do they call them? I'll show you. Mord Sith. She's an ex-Mord Sith. She's evil and turned to the good side, kind of like a neutral of good tendencies character. It's worth getting. You can get it on DVD still. You can't. I don't think you can even get it on Blu-ray, just DVD. But like, I love that show in the earlys, and since it's no one else, hey, I might as well use it. Putting some of those cool things on. I'm learning how to use GIFs now. So yeah, good question there. Great shows, sometimes cheesy. What shows aren't cheesy, Josh? Even Game of Thrones was cheesy sometimes. So all right. Some campaign. Yeah, thank you for that question. Zena is awesome too. Ask John where his campaign is going, but I don't want spoilers. Well, John can give you some general.
Yeah, so I mentioned a couple things earlier. So there are multiple threads in this campaign, and I am big on player-driven stories. So as a DM, I like to create, here are the world building events, here are the things that are happening. That's important. But then I really like to have the players influence where the campaign goes. And part of my philosophy is it would take tremendous hubris for me as a DM to feel that I have a corner on all the best ideas for where the campaign could go. I've got 4 or 5 really talented, smart people sitting around the table with me or joining me remotely. And occasionally a DM should be ready to let a player pull the campaign in a direction that you don't expect. So I just want to put that qualifier out there that I may have ideas of where my campaign is going to go, but I always want to maintain that fluidity and responsiveness to my players because they may have better ideas of where my campaign can go than I have. Now, with that said, I have these overarching themes. You have Gajol, this orcish warlord in the Kron Hills. He plays a role connected somehow to the Red Lords. You have the Dark Brotherhood, and Halia and Holly and all of that, which contains an overarching theme, and that is connected somehow. Greyhawk Awakening, that is not a random name. There is something there in that name of Greyhawk Awakening. You have the connections with the Ulek. Also, I've already mentioned some things maybe happening in the southwest part of the continent. And so I have in my mind, sometimes, like if you look at my Lord of the Rings campaign, which I've mentioned a couple of times, I had a pretty good sense of where that was going. I had a very clear arc with the Palantirs, the Lost Palantirs, and how that would play into Dagor Dagarath, which is, of course, the Armageddon of the Tolkien world. And so that was a little bit clearer to me as far as what the overall arching theme would be. With my Greyhawk campaign, I have multiple threads, and they're all kind of weaving together, and that's part of the fun for me as a DM. I don't really know exactly where it's going. I have some ideas, but I think that those are going to sort of weave together as we move along and create a story that I and the players share together. I don't know if that's a political answer. Sorry if that was not satisfying, but it's kind of where I'm at.
See, great. John's got a huge advantage over me, and that is that he has fresh, brand new Greyhawk people who want to learn, and you can direct them and just they can grow with the experience. I got old crotchety 50-plus-year-old guys who they don't remember what we did the previous week. So, so I got to do my best.
Telling them,
yes. I'm sorry, Tim, with your exception. And Tim, thank you for coming on Thursday. That was awesome instead of remoting in. That was great. That was fantastic. A point you just made. So Halia Thrain is your character. The current leader of the Dark Brotherhood is Holly, a super high, Holly, a super high level specialty priestess of Leviator. For Virtual Greyhawk Con, Mike Disney will be painting that mini. So we'll have the arch nemesis of the campaign finally after all these years. So that'll be, Mike will be doing that live. He'll have the first stream, and that'll be on Friday morning, 9 a.m., kicking off Virtual Greyhawk Con on the highlighted streams. And Bill the Master Crafter and myself may be linked in via talking to him as he's doing it. And we'll have Reaper giveaways and all sorts of great things going on that very first stream. So once again, make some more connections. Mike is fantastic at what he does. Bill's hopefully we get this figure shortly, and Bill will do some edits. And yes, exactly. So get that thing cranking up.
Yeah, Cold Steel Penguin asked a question about my Shieldlands
Go for it.
so-called Mega Dungeon map, and the reason I called it a Mega Dungeon because I wanted to treat the area. The campaign will be centered around a village called Aldet. It's in the southern Shieldlands, and it's one of these that now are the situation is after the war. IUs have conquered most of it, and it's I want to let the characters grow up in a little village in the borderlands between good and evil, so to speak, and with a lot of different options. And campaign can go any numerous ways, so to speak. So I wanted kind of an literally open, and I also wanted to run and see if I can make an area that is kind of as flat and boring geographically as they come in the Flannies, and make that interesting. And I also so I have a little village with roughly about 100 people or something living in it, and not more than that, and a few, maybe 10, 12, 15 buildings, and then some ruins, because it used to be a little bit bigger, and then the war kind of ruined it, and now it's coming back again a little bit again, and there is a basic economy going and stuff like that. So what I wanted to do was to create a map that we can. I'm going to start them 0 level, and I expect them to hang around until at least 3rd level or something like that, and play within the next 100 miles. And I want that because I don't have any major dungeons to send them down to, no big houses to explore, and there's a couple of there's a couple of towns, like 3-4 towns, and some keeps and some military fortification. That's about it. And that is all there. So I wanted to have every little detail there, so we can go everything from rat hunting and find that spider in sitting in over there, and we have to start meaning they're 0 level. We have to start with the everyday life, so to speak. So everything should be interesting, like the oak that they used to hang people in, or there's still kind of some kind of undead activity going on, and they have to investigate in all sorts of stuff that is just around. And I wanted that to be detailed as a dungeon crawl, so to speak, but being the area around the village. So that was the idea around that, and it's kind of a test case to see if it's worked. Because if it's a really, really cool idea that I can make really good for my campaign, and of course this will be available to everyone by the end of the year or something like that.
But
so this map will be available for free for everyone. Yeah.
But Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, virtual Greyhawk Con, Anna will have the entire presentation will be the Greyhawk campaign of Anna Meyer with all her custom maps.
Yeah, and there will be I will show the first kind of finished parts of this map will be shown at the convention there. Yeah.
What a great seminar that's going to be.
It will be my political intrigues and a whole bunch of other stuff that and some interesting takes on elves, dragons, and stuff like that too. Yeah.
So John, I want you to answer this question because I did already. Billy and Babel ask, it's been a long time since I've DM'd. Can any of you provide an example of situations where the players are affecting world events beyond killing a leader? That's a tough one because it's hard to, it's a balancing act. Let's see what you got to say on that.
Yeah, so, I mean, I can think of several, and I'm trying to think what's most appropriate. So, you have political intrigue, which we've talked about. That doesn't require death of a leader. It could involve influence over elections or control of leadership. It could involve cataclysmic events. So if you come back to like what I mentioned earlier on the Fourth Age campaign, what's happening with the Dagorath and the Palantirs, that has nothing to do with the death of a leader, but these are cataclysmic events. And think of your standard, I guess, if you go to Game of Thrones, there's a lot of death of leaders. If you go to Lord of the Rings, it's not really about death of leaders. It's about sort of the cataclysmic events of the world. And I think you can have many more nuanced elements that can affect, if you think even sort of go back to the original D&D, Hamlet, the 1 through 4, Temple of Elemental Evil, that wasn't death of a leader, but these were world-influencing events.
Oh yeah,
that led to the Battle of Emerald Meadows and all the things that occurred, which were not necessarily leader deaths, but you can have all kinds of different elements. Hey, how about a character who explores and discovers some new spell, some new magical potency. The old trope of the dwarf who mines something from the bowels of the earth that it should not have been unleashed and is. Though none of these things are death of leaders, but they're all world-affecting events, and that's again D&D. Anything you can imagine, you can create, and there are all kinds of ways to explore world-altering events beyond just the death of a leader.
Yeah. One of the examples that I think could be real cool, you can let the characters, even at low level, they can influence leaders to act or to not act, so to speak. Meaning they can tell a king or someone else by showing evidence or simply be a good orator or sometimes just keep someone alive who would otherwise be killed or something, can go to court and convince the king or the baron that I'm so and so and our village have suffered, and they can show it, and then they make the king act and change the world and stuff like that.
Anna with the practical sort of what's happening in the court. I love that. And Steve said the Uzians are the good guys, right?
Yeah.
They're doing that because of the freaking cannon fodder people. Again.
I know.
Oh, man.
But I love also what Pat 66 said. Pat's he's a contributor on our Discord, which if we have time, I want to talk about that, Jay, because I think connections should include sort of the extra game or meta game level stuff that we can do. And Pat runs part of our Discord channel, but he's a great viewer. And he said a player could crash the economy. You could change the economy, which I know, Anna, you're big into that.
Oh yeah, meaning what happens when they raid they kill a dragon and those millions of gold pieces come in, meaning it's inflation.
I heard you say that last week. I literally had I never thought of that. You're right.
Yeah, because we have to realize that the fantasy economy works like the old economies of the world when they had the gold standard, meaning they literally have the gold standard. And when I can see influential leaders and maybe not greedy dragons, they hold on to their treasure, whatever, but some others might be smart enough to just punch some extra money out there and things go wild and whatever. So and the opposite, meaning if you get a greedy dragon that steals all the gold ever, they will have to resort to something else, and there will be so if you have gold there, you can make real bargains. And I have one of these on my price lists. I have a local modifier that I can just put in to modify the prices ups and down on my list due to circumstances, meaning big cities, when adventurers come in with truckloads of gold, things will come up. You have to pay whatever just to get a room over.
You got to pay tax. Greyhawk, you pay tax to death.
Exactly, and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, and then you go out to that poor little tavern that barely has any customers, whatever. They will give you something night just if you buy an ale for a piece of silver. So,
that's right. Lord Grindelwolf said the same thing. Like when Smaug's treasure was recovered. Oh my goodness! What would that do to that local economy? I don't know why I never thought of that, Anna. When you literally rocked me when you said that last week. I've been thinking about it all week long, and the main question that I've come up with is, when can I play in one of your campaigns?
Okay,
it's coming up.
We have to get that done. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So my guys always complain that real estate in Altamira is way too expensive. And I said, well, you guys are running around with 40,000 gold pieces. You got to spend 10,000 for
the economy.
Too bad. It's the economy. It's the economy.
It's becoming like San Francisco. Everybody well paid. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great one.
Not everybody, but some people are, and then the rest complain.
I got an idea, John, with that Discord.
All right.
On that Greyhawk 1. Here's my idea. And it could be just like random things that I put out there. It may not have a bearing or whatever. Give me an Order of Ulick command channel, and it'll come from someone in the Order of Ulick, and they'll put out a general bulletin out to just say it will say something. Hey, we have activity in the northeastern Sus. Please redirect certain forces there, and maybe that just to throw. I'll throw that in maybe once or twice a week. I'll throw something in there and if people want to respond, sound good?
No, I love that, and I'll figure out ways to work that in the campaign because based on where they're at. So, for example, can I talk about the Discord for a second? How I use it?
Please do.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So you can link it in too. Link it. Feel free.
All right. I'll let if Evelyn's still on, she can do that.
She logged about 20
minutes. Okay. All right. I'll put up in it. So I think just the main point I wanted to make is that if you come back to what I said at the beginning, this idea of connections, and as a kid, when you played the game, you went to school the next day, and you saw your friends, you talked about it all week, and you could probably play 3, 4, 5 times a week which, we can't do as adults in most situations. With the same campaign, we've got responsibilities and lives. And so my point is, connection was a natural part of the game in its organic sense as kids. And so now as an adult, what I'm trying to do is replicate and grow that experience. And we need a way to create something which is the connective tissue between the campaigns. So I run Greyhawk Awakening once a week. I've got my other campaign on Sundays, and there are some crossover viewers, which I love that. That's great. But we have some unique viewers to each stream. And I really wanted to figure out a way to make these campaigns and the connection contiguous. And I came across an article. I don't have it. I can't post it. But it was this idea of a third place. And a third place meaning people have work, they have home, and then a third place. It was sort of the Cheers idea, that old TV show, a place where everybody knows your name, right? Where you can create a community that during the week people can communicate, connect, and if they're part of your viewer base, they feel like they have something they can share with, and that's what the Discord has meant for us. So I'm not pushing Discord as a venue. I've got no stock. I've got no sponsorship from them, anything. But just the reason I like it is that during the week we've got shops set up. So when the party is in, for example, right now the town that they're circling around is Hamlet. Eventually it's going to branch out to other places, and I'll change the names of the stores, but the shopkeepers will remain the same. And I have actual viewers like Roxafarius, he runs Cat. I have Pat66, who runs the Hamlet Supply and Trade.
Nice.
So these viewers.
That's awesome.
Lissy 123, she's got the herbal shop in Hamlet. It's not genius. I'm borrowing things. It's just ideas I've gotten from other people. But I thank you. But I have that in. So during the week, if they're in Hamlet, they can interact with those shopkeepers, and my viewers can come in, and I've given them the economies, I've given them the values. They'll check in with me before they do anything crazy, so there's nothing that's getting outside the bounds of how I want to DM my campaign. But it creates a continuity during the week that you can't get from just a once a week stream with busy adults, and we all have our lives. Now, I also keep this true to the game. So right now, they're in the Cron Hills, they're in the middle of battle. So there is nothing happening in that Discord as it relates to those different stores in Hamlet during the week because the players aren't there.
Makes sense.
And so I'm going to have a fireside sort of chat venue as well, a channel. So when they're traveling, if the players want to chat around the fireside, if the campaign happens to end at the right spot where they're not in combat and they're not in the middle of a dungeon and they're just sitting around a fire, they can chat during the week to keep that, and the players can, or the viewers can sort of interact a bit with them as well. And I really think this is a good way for us all as streamers or adult. You don't have to be streaming. Just if you're an adult and you can't see your friend at school the next day, right?
Yeah, just keep the continuum
exactly
between sessions. Yeah,
exactly. So that to me is a big part of the connectivity. Yes, it's connectivity with other Greyhawk streamers. It's connectivity with Jay, with Anna, with this whole community. But then also using the digital mediums to create something which makes the game go beyond just the 3-hour session that I run once a week.
Yeah, you can run all the downtime. I hope maybe in my next campaign I can basically run like a day-to-day, almost a play-by-post a little bit using a Discord forum. And then when we have an encounter, we can simply say, okay, now we need to schedule a game session and run the encounter. And then afterwards you run exploration and downtime as in between activities. And as soon as there is an encounter, then you can get together and play that as a session, and then that way you can kind of go on, and every day could be a day in the world, so to speak, and then you can run. You're
dead on. So like, I'm sorry, Jay, I don't want to like
this is good. We can go a little late. It's no problem. Go for it.
You got me all night. Like I'm having fun. So you're gonna have to cut me off. But like I think there are two things which have tied together here. So I talked earlier about theater of mind and just a DM being ready to go in any direction. I never want the minis and the terrain to be a restriction to my players doing what they want to do. And 2 weeks ago, we had a session where on Greyhawk Awakening, the player that plays Lilith, Vivi, and Lilith is our druid, and she'd already seen Jeru. Jeru is now the same Jeru Ashstaff from the original Hamlet.
Oh, he's still there? Oh,
he's still, but he's 40 years older. So he's deeply aged. He's got a new apprentice, And the bear that he had as a companion died in the episode. Like, he had extended its life through, a sort of extra, druidical means, and it died 2 sessions ago, and the players were interacting with Jeru as his bear was dying. So this campaign 2 weeks, session 2 weeks ago, I had no idea that Lilith would decide to go back to see Jeru. I wasn't prepared for that. I had no minis. I had no setup. I had no nothing. But it was this wonderful expansion of theater of mind. So what happened then is I popped up my picture because I had that of him from before. And then we role played this incredible moment where she interacted with Jeru. And as she walked in, he was silent. He was in sort of a prayerful meditation. He had his hand on a mound next to him where he had buried his animal companion of more than 40 years. And I love these connections and homages to the original game and Gygax and Hamlet and the old school players where I don't want to disrupt them. I want to carry them on. And so he's sort of in this meditative moment. And Lilith, as she comes in, she doesn't say a word. And she just looks at him, and empathically he looks up, and they have this connected moment where they say nothing, but they share a sense of sorrow. She had a fang from a viper that she had killed. And as a druid, even killing a natural creature like a viper had grieved her. And so she buries this fang in the soil there around the grove in Hamlet with Jeru Ashtaff. And then as they share this quiet moment, not a word is spoken. He gets up and he plucks a flower from the soil and he hands it to her. And she senses innately that he is grateful for the fact that she has spoken not a word, but shared this moment with him. Well, now, so that's sort of point one. Let your campaign, let your players take you where you don't expect to go. It was a great moment. I had not. Then point two, Discord. That week, she's in Kat's shop run by Roxafarius, the herbalist, and she's bringing that flower in. I think it was with Fed. I can't remember which shop she was in. She's one of the shops in Hamlet. She brings the flower in, and there's this whole Discord chat happening during the week about how the shopkeeper takes the flower and will care for it for her while she's out traveling. And it just brings this full circle of the campaign world where everybody's feeling like it's, like you said, continuity. And anyway, I'm done. It's fun.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's a great role play.
It was better.
It's fantastic, brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and the connection to the Discord. So, who may I ask where you got the idea from?
So I've seen it around, and I think I Googled, what do people use Discord for role play for? So that's not too glorious. But then also I want to give shout out to Rory and Brent of Two Dungeon Masters. They have a Discord channel where they're doing a lot of text-based role play. But I'll go back even to my old school roots. So between my start in the late 70s and my current, I did play some online stuff. So I was on bulletin boards. I played the old Neverwinter Nights. Jay, I talked to you about this recently. Neverwinter Nights.
Yeah, me too.
I had a persistent campaign with Neverwinter Nights. You had forums and bulletin boards.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of text-based role play. And what I loved about that was it created that continuity. So as I was thinking about Greyhawk Awakening in particular, but the broader Blue Box community, but really Greyhawk Awakening, I was like, how do I make this more than just a 3-hour event? And a bulletin board is 1998. So I thought Discord, and I looked at what other people were doing, and I just borrowed and stole. You're right, there's nothing new under the sun. I'm not claiming, any great sort of invention here, but I used that, and I think it's created a really fun extension of the campaign beyond just those Tuesday night sessions.
Yeah.
So, a couple questions. One of them is something in my campaign that Thunder Bay asked, and what you think of it, my hero point system and how the crowd interacts. What do you think of it, John?
That for me? Yeah, I love it. So part of the problem that I have is, of course, I'm using the 5e element of advantage.
Yeah, you can't.
And so I don't want both hero and advantage.
Yeah.
But I think what you're doing is essentially the same thing as what I'm doing. It's creating an opportunity for your Twitch viewers, your participating community, to have an influence on the game, but not an undue or over influence on the game, right? You don't want them utterly changing the story or disrupting completely, but you like them feeling like they're connected and being able to influence it. And so I think your hero point system I've participated in it. I bought some hero points, and I'm getting pretty close actually to another one here on my normal.
10,000. Get those regular hero points. So yeah.
I've got a couple specials, and I think it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
And you can donate that to that anonymously, as Tim said. Absolutely. I just love. Sometimes there's some rivalries. Casey Brown, from Living Greyhawk, and Tim have this going on right now. So whenever Tim plays, Casey's on there giving me hero points as a DM, and Tim vice versa. Yes. So that's going on now, which is cool. Awesome. And they wanted Anna in the group because everyone goes, "Oh, Anna's in the group. That'll be helpful for us to get these good hero points." So that's awesome. And I can't wait. I can't wait till Greyhawk Con with Luke and Eric Morona and Gary Julian playing to see what the crowd does. That's going to be exciting.
And kudos to you. I'm sorry. I don't want to. I'm not jock sniffing here, but man, what you pulled together with Virtual Greyhawk Con and the community and the people, and I know there are many other contributors, so I'm not taking away from anyone else, but I know you have been the principal impetus behind what's happening here.
Yep.
And kudos to you, man. It's so exciting.
Let's get to that in about, let's see, we'll try and do that in another 15, 20 minutes. I don't want to keep you all night, but we'll go a little longer, definitely, on the talk until everyone burns out. So the other question Rox asked was, are you going to add any players or another game? And I think the answer to that is your wife will kick your ass, like my wife will kick my ass, right?
For games, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm cut off for additional games. I've got enough, but for players, it's a balance for me. And I know different DMs have different thresholds. I find for me, 4 at a minimum, 6 at a maximum in terms of the number of players I want to run in a campaign. If I get over 6, I feel like combat starts to bog down. I don't do as good a job. And I'm not criticizing anyone else. There are some others out there. We got a couple of our own Blue Box viewers that run 12-hour improvs with 8, 9, 10 different players, and that works for them. I love that. That's not me. I've got to have a smaller group. So I think, for example, on our Sunday campaign with Rune Lords, we have one of our players who just went evil today. It was I knew this was going to happen because I talked to the player in advance. But it still was. It was dark. I was exhausted afterwards. It made the Brim Tisa interaction on Greyhawk Awakening look light compared to what there was some really dark moments in this. He scooped the eyes out of. It was bad. It was really bad. But I think so. That player being gone, I'm introducing another player to that campaign. And of course, on my Greyhawk Awakening campaign, the player Uthar, the player Steve, who ran Uthar, he had work conflicts. He was really upset, and I've had to replace him with Shorewind. So I might add one here or there. I'm certainly open to that, but I don't want to expand those campaigns beyond what I, as a DM, am capable of doing my best work for.
Great answer. I think you and I are in the same, and Anna would be in the same ballpark, that we love our audience interacting with our games.
Oh yeah. I'm a sandbox. It's completely the way I set it up. I set up all the pieces, and then I play the other pieces, and I hope that and expect that the players come in and kind of come up with ideas and interact with the stuff that is there, so to speak. So otherwise it will be very boring and it will not get anywhere. So I'm most players, or at least a lot of players that I play with, they want me to railroad more, and I don't want to railroad. I just want to, this is what happens around you, and then there is a layers around it that happens in the big world. And what I've started to figure out is that I actually let the players, so when I run my campaign, they might be like upcoming campaign in Shieldlands, but there is other things going on, meaning the Greyhawk and the Empire of the Pomarsh might have squabbles and things going on. There might be a spy campaign and something going on. So what I do is that I will let my players, and I did that in my last campaign, they will roll for one side. So I play out these kind of huge events, the players don't know what detail is on a simple say, okay, now we have a conflict between the Turusmak and Empire of the Pommarch versus Greyhawk. And I let the players roll for Greyhawk, and we roll like every day to see how the situation moves back and forth. And that gives them a sense that, oh, there's things happening in the world.
Yes.
And then eventually that comes and spills over into their little world in the little village of Alden, so to speak. So they can kind of anticipate that, it's on the move doing something. And then you can see ominous clouds at the distance, so to speak. Something is happening. And I also want my players to get that sense of it's just not little. Sandbox is huge, and they're in little corner of it, and they can move out, and things can spill into their little part of the world, so to speak.
Yeah, so well said.
My guys aren't sandboxy that as much as you know, because they work long days and they come and their brains are mush sometimes. But now I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry but it's true. I mean, sometimes my brains are mush. Yeah, see, Grenelwood says true. But I know this. There was hesitation with the hero point system and the audience interacting at first with two of my players. And then when their ass got saved once or twice, that went away. That went completely away. Oh my God, the cheer saved me. Someone failed. If you fail a saving throw by 1 and you have a special hero point, you just made that life or death save, right? Because you're allowed to use special cheer hero points after the die roll. That's why they're so important from the cheers. And it saved someone's life. And he's like, oh my God, now I get it. I was like, no shit, dumbass. Right? So sorry, John.
No, that's awesome, Jay. And look, I mean, that was one of my principal battles too. So I've already mentioned, my stream is less than a year old. Mm-hmm. And I've played for 40 years. So 1/40th of my D&D playing has been on Twitch. And I was really nervous about starting a Twitch because I am so dedicated and lover of the game. And I was afraid that streaming and sort of the performance aspect of it and feeling like you got to be on stage would diminish the quality of the game and the imagination and the thrill and the role play. And I was so happily surprised to find it was the opposite. That when I'm running these streams, the interaction with the audience and the fans, it's bringing the game to life. It's feeding the players ideas and energy. It's contributing, and it's actually augmenting instead of detracting, which is what I had feared.
Good. And most of the people in the audience, 99% of them are really nice people. You get occasional a troll once in a blue moon, and they're easy to get rid of because if you have a good mods, you can just ban them right out and they're gone. And we have not had any real incidences. And I'd say probably 15 months. So that's a good thing. I'm not sure if you've seen that ever on your stream, but once in a blue moon, you'll get an agitator.
I have not had that yet, and okay. I was thinking I was lucky, but maybe it's Roxafarius that's saving us on Tuesday nights. I'm not sure about it.
It could be.
I know what you're saying. It could happen.
Yeah, and that's one of the pitfalls of Twitch. Hey, you know what? The more active the audience is in discussing up, the more fun experience everyone has. So, and then the more viewers that want to get involved in it, and that's kind of what the whole community discussion as far as that end goes. I'll say this, John, you probably have made a lot of changes in the way you DM toward Twitch. As far as your lighting, your Sirenscape you use, all the different camera angles, stuff we didn't have to think about, in the past. And it's a huge undertaking to do it all and tell a good story.
No. So so I talked to Orion Noir, about this a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Mutual viewer, great guy. I think he's going to play in my open campaign for Greyhawk Awakening, Virtual Greyhawk Con.
Sign up early.
Yeah, he's signing up. He is.
Sign up right away at midnight. At midnight that Saturday night, August 1st. Sign up, man, because that's when it's going to go live.
It's going to fill fast. Yeah. But he was asking me some of these same questions, and I was already using the lighting, Sirenscape, just with my family.
Wow.
I love that sort of ambient. I was using that tech just in my home. Now, obviously, multiple 4K cameras. I wasn't doing all this, but I was using a lot of this stuff already just to create that ambience. I love that as a DM.
It's
You don't have to stream to use that.
You don't? Okay. Yeah, and Mike, just lots of work to stream, Mike. You're absolutely correct. And it's a lot of time that I don't spend with my family, and John's the same way. I assume that there's hours and that we are setting up terrain. Prepping an adventure. I like to run my own homebrew. I mean, this thing with Shoulder Games now, they got some great adventures I can plug in, and that kind of helps. And Carlos did 3 adventures for me last year, and that was great. But I really, so there's a lot. But you have to take something, you have to make it work on the table too, and that's not the easiest thing to do for a visual miniature tabletop DM. In addition to everything else, like I got an upcoming adventure. I can't figure out how to fit the whole town on the map. So I won't. That's all I'll say. I was talking about it with Bill last night. I can't fit it on the map. I can't. I got to figure out. All right, wait a minute. I've never run this, so here's a little foreshadowing. This has been moved. There, you get it for 5 seconds. All right.
Okay.
All right. Boom.
Okay.
4, 3, 2, 1. I can't. It's on the map. It's called Lorraine now, not Orlane. Lorraine, but I changed the name of it. I just can't figure out how to get the whole town on the map at once. So it's so massive. But you can run into those issues.
Sure.
So, but that's part of the fun actually too. So what about
that's right.
Do you use Middle-earth role-playing for crits? Balford asked that.
Yeah, so I mentioned this earlier. I use, I got them around here somewhere. So this is a particularly tattered set I have here. These are the original Lore Master or Iron Crown Enterprises Middle-earth role-playing. If you check the back of any Dragon magazine in the 80s, you're probably going to see an Iron Crown Enterprises MERP advertisement. And these things are I've seen some of Jay's stuff. They're very similar. And so they have different crit tables, fumble tables. Clearly, from the conversation earlier, Leonard would not approve, but I think it's fun. And
that's too bad.
And you've got based on weapon type. So I've got here slashing weapons, piercing weapons, blunt or crush weapons. You've got missile weapons. I've got movement, maneuver, fumble tables. I've got and by the way, I use spell criticals as well, which to me, only for certain kinds of spells. So things which are range attacks.
Evocation.
Think about that. If I'm putting, some kind of bolt in somebody's face, and I hit them in the eye with that fire, that could create a critical every bit as much as a sword could. So that's part of the beauty of these old Middle-earth role-playing crit tables. I've got electrical, fire, cold, heat, or impact crit table. All these tables, they're all percentile dice based. So the way I do it, I think very similar to what I've heard on the everybody I think does this now in this community. You roll a 20, or if you've got an expanded crit range, it could be a 19 with that weapon. So a 19 or a 20 is a potential crit, depending on if you have the expanded crit range. And then you have to confirm the critical with a secondary roll, right? So you don't just crit with a 20, you got to confirm it. If you confirm that crit with a hit on the second roll, then you get to roll percentile dice based on what type of weapon or spell or whatever it is that you're using. Or if you fumbled, you rolled a 1, and then you miss with your confirmation. That creates a fumble, and I roll on these tables. And these have created some great moments of both tragedy and hilarity. And look, I'm not trying to, I don't want something, again, that's overly tactical and super, intense and gritty and hard to do, but I do want it to feel real. And guess what? In combat, you could take a sword through the eye. And it doesn't matter how many hit points you have. It doesn't matter what level you are. That potential for death should always be there in combat. And I have some counterbalances, which we probably don't have time. Like if we want to, I can talk about that. I have some counterbalances to protect because I don't want to just have my 14th level paladin, which is a bad roll. He's dead. But there are ways you can make that work as a DM. But I want combat to be deadly, and I love these old Iron Crown Enterprises MERP crit tables.
Mine have been developed over multiple years from an original base crit table. I think Roger Moore did, and then it got changed into where you have the red. You can't see it on here, but the red bar, that's foo bar, right? So you got a food bar in there occasionally,
Right.
you know. But there's certain healings like multiple cure seriouses or death's door, or they remember second edition had the repair injury spell in the player's option book, which will heal a lot of these that we utilize. So once again, I should have brought. I didn't want to bring it up to Lenard because that was second edition. I knew I'd get them on Dream because it was first edition Arcana. Yeah, so we have that all built into the system, and that's Alan's main best contribution to the game is he loves tweaking them. And we even have a special Tim fumble table where Tim will, if the fumble happens to one of Tim's characters, the character ends up doing something, complaining and making it a lot worse according to the fumble effect, because Tim's characters would never have the fumble happen because they're too in shape or whatever. So this is what I have to deal with. So I got to make up custom fumble tables, right, Tim? If you're on, yeah. So it's a lot of fun.
No, Jay, just two quick shout outs I want to give to you. One, I've talked about this a lot, so I won't go into depth on this, but I've re-adopted the group initiative system that I used to use. I went away to individual initiative system for several years, and I get it, I understand the idea behind it, but I think there are flaws with it, and the continuity, the sort of immersion of the group initiative, the importance of the initiative roll, D6, I'm using that. But there's something you taught me. Cool. There's actually a couple things which I've not used before, which is one, sort of adapting instead of based on just dexterity or other skill sets, proximity to melee, sort of the other elements of combat to create those moments where this person goes first, this player goes first, this player goes first, and it has really opened up our combat. All of our players have absolutely loved it, and I think those little nuances and tweaks, really 1E, 2E based, have helped our campaign.
Well, thank you very much. It's and when I looked at it, and it was just common sense. If you do group initiative, if you do individual initiative, and the guy smack dab in the middle, when there's someone, it chunks the game with miniatures. And the thing you need to do with miniatures, you need to move the combat along, because then it'll drag out. And I appreciate that. You either start from the back or you start from the front, and that's the direction you go based on where you are in the combat, or if there's no combat and they're advancing or whatever. Yeah. So thank you.
One other thing. I'm sorry. One other thing I wanted to just this last prop I'll give Jay. I like this element that I've added to the campaign, which is when someone is firing a missile weapon into dense melee combat, that if they miss, there is more than just the fumble chance that they're going to hit one of their allies.
Oh yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a 1 that they might hit an ally. If they're firing, and I think that makes so much sense. And I've had that happen several times in my recent streams, where you're bow and arrow, and you got 3 of your allies around, and you're trying to thread that needle and hit that enemy. And maybe you got some taller players. So increasing the chance that they're going to hit one of their allies, even absent a fumble, I think is a great addition that I've put in my game. And maybe everybody else is doing it, but I wasn't.
Yeah, I've always done it. I've simply said that usually you get like the concealment, so it's harder to hit someone in combat if the enemy is within the melee, the fray. But if they hit, that's okay. But if they miss, then I said logic is simply say there's a friendly on either side, then there's like a 50% chance to hit either of them. So
exactly,
I simply roll a d4, and then on 1 hit 1, on 2 of the other one, and 3 or 4 they miss. So I just come up with something very simple, roll a die, and that will be it, so to speak. But there's a real chance they hit. So yeah,
it's definitely the number one thing I don't get in 5e. I don't get that everyone's firing from range. I just into me. I just don't get that part of the game.
I always want to have there should always be risks with stuff like
that.
So,
and I love that if you miss. Thank you, John. Thank you so very much, and Anna. If you miss, you roll the rear armor class, because they're facing now. They're usually at their backs to you. You roll the rear armor class to hit. It could be
And one of the other things that I do is that I lead up to combat. One of the things that in most games, what they do is that you simply say, okay, here's the situation, and you put the characters down, and there's like, now we're in combat, and you roll initiative and see who's coming. For me, I almost always gives the characters a chance. Sometimes the characters get ambushed, and there's no but that's kind of not the norm, so to speak. So what I do is that they normally see the enemy, or they sense the enemy is there, and they can see that, okay, there are some orcs over there up on the ridge, and they're like 100 yards from each other. And so what do you do? Because I want that to be a tactical game leading up to the combat. So they get a chance. Okay, do we stay here and try hide behind the trees and use missile weapons? Do we charge up the hill? Nah, it's kind of not a good thing. Do we go sideways into the forest? There are some rocks out there. Should we do it? Or so you get that, and then the enemy do the same thinking, and then you play it out. So the characters have no real. You go into it more naturally. I think that process, getting into it, so you have a chance to flee, or you can run in, and it's all kind of, and there might be some missile fire on the beginning and so on. So you kind of ease into combat, and you get a chance, that tactical game. And with the way I do flanking and stuff, to fight out in the open, it's very dangerous. So you need to find the right spot, and you shield walls and stuff like that are very, very effective.
Anna has a great one that, John, I have put in monsters, but not in general. So like if you have 4 goblins around someone, they all 4 get +3 to hit and damage, right? Or is it +3 to hit?
Well, I skipped damage.
It's just +3 to hit because there's the rule of surrounding.
That you get +1 for each additional attackers, so to speak, and that also works with reach weapons. So imagine if you fight in the open and the enemy surrounds you, you screwed. If you're high level, doesn't matter. But if you're a part of a group and you stand shield to shield, and then you can attack first line, and the second line can be using spears and stuff. Then
I love that. I've never heard that. And again, like, I don't know, maybe I've been in a bubble, but I don't know where. Like, I think that's fantastic. I've taken a note. And these are things which DMs can implement, which is what I love. Things that DMs can implement without putting more overhead on the players.
I let them add damage at times too, but only like +1, +2. It depends a little bit. So I let them add damage too. It's a way to level the playing field a bit.
Right. It makes sense. If I'm surrounded, like, the whole idea behind armor class, particularly with like dex bonuses and things, is that I can move, I can duck. Well, if I've got 3, 4 enemies surrounding all around me, I'm very limited in what I can do. So that advantage or that bonus makes sense. And again, it's not an overhead I have to put on the player. They don't have to remember that. As a DM, I can know that. I can
exactly.
Add that,
I just do it. I just boost it up, and
I love that. I love that.
And another thing I do leading up to combat is intimidation. Meaning enemies can taunt you and intimidate you. And usually how I do it is that when they start doing and taunting you, you can attack outright without getting any negatives. But if you hesitate, then he will get a bonus on you, and you will get a negative on them. So
okay, all right. So I want to ask you about that. That's a great point. So one of the things I struggle with as a DM, it's sort of the old movie trope where you get to the end of the movie and the villain wants to explain his plot to you.
Bloviating.
He's going to bloviate for a moment on the plot and tell you what he. And why doesn't the protagonist just put a bullet through his head? So with what you're suggesting, how do you prevent then your players from always wanting to judge? Because I have this in my own campaigns. It's not necessarily the end and the bloviating, but it's just normal dialogue. And I'll sometimes have a player go, as soon as I let the bad guy start talking, I attack. And I'm trying to make sure I'm not losing the story.
Special DM power, the power of the bloviating.
I do that, but I'm curious what
What I do is that I simply I use intimidation and that way, and charisma more kind of a little bit freely, and I let the characters do the same thing. If they come in and they can kind of see, they can use intimidation and even diplomacy, but especially intimidation to scare someone. And then they can choose 2 things. They can scare them, trying to get them to not be, to terrify them and to pacify them. Or they can try to antagonize them to attack them and no one else. And so I can have the enemy stare at you and attack, but they can only do it depending on, and some like really high demon lords or whatever, they can do it to everyone around them. Otherwise, they can only do it to one. So they can single out someone and simply challenge them. So that means that the fighter who has singled out can either be terrified if they miss the roll, and that means that they have to build up to it, because they will be terrified and have to get over it, or they will simply realize that you can attack now without any negatives, but if you don't take the chance now, you will not, then you will have negatives coming up, so to speak. And they have to, or you can take an action and spend the action on trying to get over it. And then you would get a plus instead of attacking. And you can also use your actions and simply say, I'll go defensive one round, and you get +4 on your armor class. And by not doing anything except say that, okay, I'm just defending myself, nothing else. So I give characters multiple ways of dealing with it, just to add dynamic situation to it. I don't want the combat to be static. I want it to be dynamic. That's the whole point of combat. It should be as fun as dialogue or something. And it should be multiple ways of dealing with it.
Different. It's not just hack slash.
Exactly. I hate that. And it needs combat and a lot of campaigns and games. As soon as the DM say, okay, now we go to initiative, all the role play dice and all the campaign story dice, and it all becomes the mechanic rolling dice. I hate that.
I hate that too. And if you ever watch a Blue Box 3, like there's so much role play in the middle of combat.
Exactly. It needs to be.
I love that because some of your best role play can happen in the midst of combat.
Moments.
The enemies and the protagonists.
Yep. And that's why I want to ease into it, meaning you start initiative usually 5 rounds before you can even reach the enemy. So you have that maneuvering and you can yell and taunt and use all sorts of things. You can hide, you can, all sorts of skills and stuff and maneuvering before you get into combat.
That's great. And by the way, Tim, or as often referred to, the ever mysterious Tim, it was back earlier. I definitely use weapon length as well. But that's what I like about the new initiative. Well, it's the old new initiative system that I'm using now, adapting from Jay and others back to my roots, is the DM can adjudicate all of that sort of behind the scenes, and it keeps the players engaged. So I'm not necessarily, so if Brim is wielding a two-handed maul and he's also in direct combat where Shorewin is next to him with a one-handed sword, I'm going to let Shorewin go first. But this is not something that Brim needs to manage or know. And the players almost wait with anticipation as to when the DM is going to call on them. It's a fun sort of nuance to the combat. They're sort of on the edge of their seat. Can I go? Can I go? Can I go? And the DM is managing all of this behind the scenes and creating this really organically authentic feeling combat. That's what I've loved.
Absolutely. Instead of, it's my turn, because the initiative
I roll the my deck. So it's just been, instead of making it clinical, it's dynamic and fun.
And also as a DM, don't show all your cards outright, meaning they are not combating everyone right away. There's someone who can pop in halfway through combat and all stuff like that. Don't set up and then, okay, here's the encounter, and then you think about it as a static, they're going to slog through it. Meaning, do think that enemies run off and because they want to stay alive, and they also, and don't go with the usual dungeon phenomena, meaning you spread out the enemies equally over the whole dungeon. Meaning, or the defensive, meaning if the enemy is there to defend it, if the breach comes, they will send everything at the one go. So meaning the characters will meet full resistance right off the bat, so to speak.
Well, that's okay. So, so again, Jay, I'm sorry. Like you,
go for it, man. This is great discussion.
This is so much fun to me. So I
go
talked
for
about this on my last Lore Masters Arcanum Dungeon Ecology, and talking through. Even if you look at and like, never shall I speak a word in dismissal of the amazing and originator of this, Gary Gygax. But if you look at even the original Caverns of Chaos, the Moat House, you have very strange ecology. You've got kobolds and hobgoblins and room to room to room to room, and nothing moves in between, and it's all very static. I don't like my campaigns and my combats to run like that. So I do try to think of what are some things I can do to create barriers that make sense, so I don't have the entire dungeon swarming the players all at once, and also making sure that the monsters make sense in the ecology of whatever the dungeon or the keep or the lost ruins or whatever it is that they're in makes sense. But I like your point. If you storm the front gates,
it also depends on the enemy. Meaning the most important stat for most monsters for me is intelligence. Meaning if the player characters, if they are storming a place that is guarded by 10 skeletons within 0, they will just do as told, and the characters can walk around them, and they will be idiot. But if they are attacking a stronghold that is held by 25 of IU's best orcs, so to speak, meaning they will damn, they will fool the pants off the characters, and they will know how to defend their keep because they've done it. Meaning that and it's not only the level that is important, it's the intelligence. Meaning they know how to ambush and how to do all sorts of tactics and whatnot, so to speak. So and also it's meaning if you attack a bunch of merchants that with no military experience, meaning they will be like, okay, should we hand over the treasure or should we hide it somewhere? Those will be the
so
two
well
options
said.
for them.
I could not agree more. That's exactly
they will have no military options. But if you meet the IU's shock troops, so to speak, they will not hand over whatever. They will think about, okay, which body part should I chop off first, and which of the characters should we kill first to set an example, so to speak. And then they will hurl a spear at 200 feet through the first character, and he will be spear meat, so to speak. And then they will laugh and intimidate, and then they will send the other ones through the forest on the side, coming in and attack the characters
and taunt you, and then chop off your privy bits.
Yes,
no,
exactly.
I think that's exactly
and send
right.
half of the party to go back and tell the other damn lousy humans that don't come here, so to speak. That will be
exactly. And I think that's a great. So Blazing Edge, thank you. Like, DM tips. This is something I love doing, and I think you got such great long-standing DMs here. But when you're going through that dungeon, if they're making a ruckus, opening the door, and many modules will embed this, but not all. And you as a DM got to think, well, what's heard 2 doors down? What's realistic? And I think that makes it feel more real to the players, and it makes them change how they behave.
Yeah, and meaning the player should also be smart and use this. Meaning instead of going in trying to go through the whole thing, just put in and throw in some like Molotov cocktails. So or put in a fireball the first time and blow it out, and then come back 6 hours later when you boost up and put another one in there and see what happens, and grind the enemy down if he's bad. So don't think that you'll solve everything, and go in instead of spending of saving all the resources for the boss. Go in and not with the anticipation of going through the whole dungeon. Go in, burn all your damn resources in the first room, done telling these bastard orcs who's boss, so to speak, and then go back again and wait a bit, and the orcs in there will be terrified.
But an evil DM like myself will attack them when they're sleeping during the encampment.
But
my orcs are not watching you rest to come back again.
But you have to, as a DM, you should role play the orcs, meaning then the orcs are terrified. Like, these damn humans are powerful beyond anything. What if they come back and they will sit there and tremble, so to speak, and you have to roll a morale to see how I don't even know how they will respond. It will be up to a morale roll, so to speak, and the leader might simply take off and let the little troops that have nothing else to say sit left. So I would start playing out stuff like that, so you can attack a problem from many different perspectives and ways.
So back to the original
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. This is good. 2 things I've done. I gave certain monsters, a lot of them are home created, the ability Swarm, which is what Anna does. So like Grimlocks, right? Those especially, Murlocs in my game, they have the Swarm tactic, so that they'll just gang up on things and you get the pluses. Now, as far as the taunt, I actually have taunt, which I ripped off from World of Warcraft. I admit it freely. I have taunt as an ability that you can take as in our feat proficiency system, where they can insult, like, and the target gets a petrification save, and to avoid being that taunt, and if not, then they have to fight that. Now you can't do it at a mage at range. It has to be within that melee combat areas or advancing, and so that's how we do it. A lot of tanks type fighters now take taunt. The Shield Thane class, the dwarf takes taunt. That's what we do. And we have some crazy duelists and some crazy characters that aren't even fighters taking taunt because they think it's cool. Everyone
can take it.
Yeah, anyway, a mage could take it if they wanted to hurl insults. Absolutely.
And an archwizard challenge you, that could bring down the morale.
Tim, halflings don't swarm. Halflings don't swarm in combat. They don't do that.
No, they are stealthy little ones.
What about Kender taunting?
Oh,
God. Oh, yes.
Oh, my God. True things that swarm. So, yeah. Oh, man. So the Glory Joe, I hope you build up a good group, and hopefully that you're all finding this discussion very enlightening. This is a blast. I mean, we're having a great time talking this. So, do you have anyone have any other questions for us? Woo!
Hit us with something tough.
Yeah.
I should be careful what I ask for. Right?
Yeah.
I remember Phineas and the Evil Halfling Thieves Guild. I remember all that, and they got hit by the wand of automatic missile fire from which was actually a machine gun. Yeah, that cartoon. Oh, that's a great cartoon, Tim.
Well, I'll just mention while we're waiting for other questions. So I'm excited about, of course, virtual Greyhawk Con.
Yes.
Super pumped about that. Running 2 sessions, one on Friday, which will be the open game, and then of course on Sunday. What's that?
Go ahead. I'm going to pop that up as you're talking.
Okay, yeah. And on Sunday, I'm running my Greyhawk Awakening. So we're going to move our regular Tuesday session up to Sunday that week. And that's going to be, I think, something we might even tap into some things that Jay and I have talked about tonight. I think it might be a good moment for some connections between the campaigns. That could be fun. But then also just a huge level of enthusiasm for the way everything is moving in the campaign. So thankful to all the community and the people that have been participating and helping us. We've grown in our viewership in a crazy level over the past several months, and we're very, very grateful. And I just want to say thank you to everyone.
Excellent. I mean, you deserve it, man. Things are going so well, and it's an entertaining, and it's a very easy to get behind stream, and that's what's so great about it, John. Absolutely, it's top notch, and the Greyhawk community is thankful for you to be a part of it. Absolutely, 100%.
Well, thank you, thank you, Jay. That means a lot. So coming from you, Anna, all the support you've given, you guys are amazing. And one other thing I was going to mention, so with coinciding with virtual Greyhawk Con, OJ34 will be sort of right around that time or just a little beyond that into fall. And I'm working on an article for OJ34, which harkens back to some things I mentioned at some point in the stream today. I'm not going to say too much, but I intend to have not only an article, I'm going to have custom artwork. And if I can pull it off, I'm going to have an STL printable file for a race or creature for 3D printing in Greyhawk, associated with something kind of cool with the part of the world I referenced earlier. If you've been watching the whole time, you can probably guess. It's a passion of mine that comes from my old school gaming days. And I think it's going to be everything from virtual Greyhawk Con, OJ34, just a lot of fun things happening in the Greyhawk community. Troll Lord Games being a part of this now, Reaper sponsoring. Man, what a fantastic time to be a Greyhawk fan.
Yep.
So I'm going to answer this one quickly, and then we'll go. Pat, why was a Tarrasque created? Why not? I mean, that's what I mean. Who knows? The Monster Manual 2. I mean, Lenard would hate it, but yeah, why not create something that's so nasty and everyone fought a Tarrasque when you were a kid. It was during the Monty Hall days. I have no idea why you would create it, but someone decided this needs to be in the Monster Manual 2.
Monster, yeah.
Yeah, it's the ultimate monster. I think that's what it was. So
it's the only thing that I have close to a dinosaur in any of my campaigns. I cannot stand dinosaurs in my D&D
wonderful!
campaign.
Someone else. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I hate that.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. No
not
dinosaurs.
Even raptors.
No dinosaurs.
No.
Yeah, no dinosaurs.
That to me is mixing the genres.
Yeah,
and tropes.
exactly.
How about
I can have slotties and dragons and stuff, but no dinosaurs.
An axe-beak's a bird.
No, the axe. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. The axe-beak. Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
That's but like nothing that is like I've seen some of the campaigns even coming out with 5e now. Heck, even Temple of Elemental Evil. You had some.
No T-Rex. Nothing with Latin dinosaur names.
I cannot stand any of that stuff in my campaign. The Tarrasque. Thank you, Anna. The Tarrasque, though, it's not really a dinosaur, so it's an exception to me, even though it sort of hints at that. And it was the ultimate monster. It's something. There are a few things I remember as a kid from the original, sort of books and monster manual. I mentioned to you, Jay, Grozd. The original image of him with the ebony skin, and the sword, like that stuck in my head. The Tarrasque, that was the ultimate monster, of course, and never been in one of my campaigns, but it's
same
fun.
here. Never used it, but I always hear about everyone killing 5 or 6 Tarrasques. I'm like, how?
I don't think we've ever. Never used it. I haven't had to. But,
it's one of those monsters that who knows why I got
but
into
eventually,
there.
It would be fun to scare them with it. Eventually, yeah.
All right, so real quick, take a look at this schedule for Friday. This is just highlighted streams from all of our Twitch partners that are participating. Look at that. We have 7 different channels on Friday night having a highlighted stream. Can you? I mean, just the content is unbelievable. John is on here. Dragons in the Dining Room's on here. Now remember, there's going to be a little bit of crossover. It doesn't matter. Everyone's on their own channel, and that's part of a community event. I don't have to be worried and be on a channel. Go, oh, I got to get off now because the next one's got to come on. If you run late, you run late. It's no big deal. And hopefully every channel will be rating into other channels. Kick it off with Mike Disney's painting. It's going to be awesome. Dragons in the Dining Room at 11, Blue Box 1 to 5. We get Steven Chenault, the owner of Troller Games. He's going to go over his tricks of the trade, and that's going to be a seminar for 2 hours after that, from 5 to 7. Then the big event that night is Anna's Greyhawk campaign map revealed. All right, and that's from 7 to 9.
Not only map, I've took a week off my. Oh, sorry, go on. Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I took a week off because I realized I need to start planning for this now. So I've taken a week off my Atlas work to start working. So I started on the campaign, my big Flannies, my version of the Flannies map, and put that up to date. I've written a whole bunch of more background rules and stories and stuff, and elaborated on the little notes and ideas I've had here and there to elaborate more on it. So there might be some more deep articles and stuff coming out, and the Shieldlands map will be it's underway, and
I can't wait.
So there's a whole bunch of new cool stuff, and you might, one of the cool questions is, why do you think elves are called high elves? That's one of the things that you get the answer to in
the wacky
in my
weed. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That was cool.
I never. Yeah, high and gray is like wow.
Exactly. I have a theory, and in my campaign, I have an idea of that you can
you
use
have some
or
token
you can
influences there, right? Some token influences with the Noldor, which I think may have crept in. But
yeah.
But we kicked off a real firestorm of debate here with the dinosaurs in the chat. So
oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I saw that Josh Pop was
yeah, he was
telling me they were candidates.
Look, and it's going super fast too. It's like I can't barely keep up with it. Over the stupid Slee stack. They're talking about Slee stacks now. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Like you run what you want to run in your campaign. I promise you're never going to see a dinosaur in a blue box campaign. If that disappoints you, I'm sorry. It's just not. It doesn't die.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all.
So
after Anna's game Friday night, we have your option of 2 fantastic games. You have Carlos Lysings, which is open sign up. They will be gone in 10 seconds when sign up goes. I think he's got 5 slots. That'll be gone like that. John, I think yours are going to be gone in like 30 seconds. So both of them will be gone. John's is open sign up that day too. And then Bill is running a Troller Games adventure, a line in the ropes as well at 9. So we got Friday night is stacked with unbelievable content. Let me go to Saturday night here. Saturday night, we have the following. Here's Saturdays. This is just highlighted streams, guys. There's a ton of events too. All right. So the ever mysterious Tim is running his unbelievable barbarian game, Dark Hand Heartstrike, at 9 a.m. to kick off Saturday, with Carlos Lysing actually playing. Carlos Lysing, Anna, Will, Matthew Lazinski, and William, who did I miss? And Jason Zavoda are all playing in this game. That is going to be something I cannot wait to see. I'm just going to produce it.
Game. Yep.
I'm just going to produce it and sit back and enjoy and watch that. Then Chuck is going to run the game I'm doing right now, Shadows of the Halfling Hall. He's going to run it, run part of it in Fantasy Grounds. It's an actual Troller Games game. I gave away a couple of them on Thursday. He's going to run that. Then at 3 o'clock, Frank from Nightheart Gaming is going to run Expedition to the Barrier Peaks. Now that is awesome, right? He's going to run that for 3 to 7. And then 7 o'clock is the main event of hopefully the whole con. I got Luke Gygax, Eric Mona, Gary Julian, Stephen Chenault, Chuck Cumbo, Anna, and we're trying to get one more. I'll go with 7 in that old school game. I already have an idea. Bill, the Master Crafter, is already prepping some stuff up. So we got that running, and then let's go to Sunday here. Oh, did I remove the wrong thing? Hopefully, yeah, I did. I just removed my by accident my ads from my sponsors in the corner. Duh. That's all right.
By the way, so a couple of folks have already, like on my Friday session, which is open, Jay, I've already got Orion Noir, who will be part of it. He's got dibs. And I'm popping, you mentioned this earlier, I just popped my Discord in the chat. So if anybody's not on that Discord, if you're interested in playing on that, before I open it up sort of more generally, I want to make sure it's open to Jay's audience and my own audience for folks that don't normally play with us but would like to play because you've been a fan. I always want to give you guys a chance first.
So most games are going to have room Lex free. I'm just going to say this, Lexfire. You got to understand, Carlos Lysing is the most in-demand DM at GaryCon there is.
Oh, yeah.
So that one's going to be whoever gets in on that one. And I think the rest of them, people are going to come in. I don't think it's going to be a mad rush. I think there'll be plenty of games for everyone to get in on. But I think that one, there's really not much I can do about that other than because he's working that weekend and he took off, he can only DM Friday night and play in Tim's game Saturday, and that's it, unfortunately. And usually Carlos does 3 or 4 games.
Carlos is great. And he and I are talking this week,
fantastic.
by the way.
Yep.
He really is. Such a funny, humble, talented guy. And he and I were talking, we were trying to talk last week and we got bumped. We're talking this week. I suspect my open game on Friday, I'm going to be running a Greyhawk adapted version of one of Carlos's one-shot.
That's awesome.
So he and I are going to be talking about that this week. And thank you everybody on the chat.
I shall do that, Extort. Thank you very much. I will reach out to him. I got another Greyhawk announcement that I haven't even talked about for GreyhawkCon. All right, here's Sunday. Skagith, who's in Sweden, is running a game at 9 a.m. So it's in the middle of the afternoon for him. He is very eclectic, and I think he's doing Hamlet, but we haven't finalized that.
Monks,
so
no monks.
Yeah, no monks, just that. Next game, Brian Sublime is DMing Return of the Salamore Rangers. This one's not an open sign up, but it's all ex-WoW guild members that we were in, and we're all playing. And we're going to run. If you ever played in World of Warcraft on the Alliance side, he's going to run the Dead Mines. It's going to be really funny and a cool adventure. And he's putting that in Fantasy Grounds. Then John's campaign games at 3 p.m. Also, at that time, and Wiley, welcome to the community as an affiliate. Wiley Hobbit is running Foul Crypt of the Mountain Kings at 4. All right, so a little crossover there, but hey, I mean, there's going to be plenty of viewership with things going on. My guess is we're going to hit some records for all streams. Everyone's going to have their records there, and then that Sunday night game, the final during this time slot, Gabbin, we're going to do an Ask the Experts, Gabbin. So Gary Helene, it says and more. Now Leonard's in. I'm going to ask some other big names: Eric Mona, Jason Bowman, maybe Luke to hop on, and see if they'll come. Please just try and sign up, and we will we'll do what we can. Here's the big announcement. So if you don't know who they are, Anna, myself, and Josh Zarathon met with a gentleman named Jay, same name, this morning from Greyhawk Reborn. It's a post-Living Greyhawk campaign that's been going on for a long time. They've committed to playing, and he said that they would add 5 to 10 more events. So and it's open sign up for them too. We have Casey Brown's got 3 events. If you want old school, Alan Growy, the Grow Dog, has 3 events. Okay, coming in. Phantom hasn't put his in yet. I'm going to beat him, Rob. He said he's going to do 2 events. Josh, you got 2 or 3 events in there. Amy Crittenden has 2 or 3 events. We got a ton of content. We have 26 events right now. Some of them are highlighted stream events. Just if you're interested, just click on the sign in for them because you can, it's going to be watched on Twitch. But I can't wait. So, John, what do you think, man?
I love it. And I'll just quote Wiley Hobbit, who bring on the Greyhawkian awesomeness. It's going to be fantastic.
Yep.
And thank you for those great comments. Greyhawk Reborn is doing intro gaming at low levels for their system, everyone, as Josh has pointed out. So we'll get them in hopefully by the end of the week. Before I go on vacation, we'll get all their events in. Hopefully they'll be in for the signups. If there's a problem, just talk to me. I'll work things out. I'm easygoing, guys. If there's a conflict or something, you didn't get in a game you wanted to be in, with the exception of Carlos's guys, you got to understand.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough, but I want people to sign up for Wiley's game. I think that's going to be awesome. He's streaming his, John's streaming one, Will's streaming one. It's going to be fantastic. So we should have enough content for everyone. All right. Let me do some shout outs here. Anyone should show. Yes. Well, people need cams and voice. You're going to need either, it depends on the game you sign up for, Pat. Some games are just Discord or Zoom only, or maybe even Skype only. Some of them you could just go right into the Discord. There's some Theater of the Mind games. The Zeef Triad Living Greyhawk has 2 games in there. It's just in Discord. I think Josh's maybe just in Discord or Zoom. You can ask Josh himself. Zarathon, what are yours? There's going to be a lot of them like that, so you don't have to be showing yourself on a stream if you don't want to either. All right, so it's very flexible. Thanks, Lex. Appreciate it. So I wanted to answer that. Anna, what's going on?
Well, I'm back to Atlas again. I finished map 29 yesterday, so there will be more coming. So there'll be 5 or 6 more. So plan is to get to 35 at least out of the 50 done by the end of next week. And so that and then I will work a little bit on the side on the Shieldlands map and on the climate things and some upcoming more technical. I had one blog post that was kind of a little bit babbly, but it was kind of the basic general idea and going into the stages of thinking about doing how to do a more detailed map for your campaign area. And so that will be followed up with more technical stuff on that one and some more examples and stuff leading up to it.
Anna, that's going to be really interesting for a lot of folks. And I can't remember now. It was earlier in the stream. My brain's a bit addled. It's been a really long weekend. So I'm a bit mush up here. But someone, I think, asked about whether or not we use sort of timing and seasons and the different elements of the actual seasonal changes in the Greyhawk world.
I do.
I absolutely, yeah, same.
I do. I do, with snow being difficult to travel, rivers flood in the spring, and all sorts of stuff like that. The war season starts in after the flood. Then during the summer, that's when you have war campaigns and stuff, and they kind of end. And there's more to eat in the fall and the festivals and so all sorts of stuff like that.
I couldn't agree more, and I love that. So I'll express those ambient things in my campaign: the feel of the fall wind, the crispness in the air, patch wall, and I'll even go down to days and track days. And so whether they see a green tree in my terrain, or the changing to the autumn, or the true sort of falling of the leaves and the tree, all that will be customized.
My Shieldlands map, I expected, my first idea was to do 1 set of textures per month, but I realized it's too much. There will be at least 4 or 5. There will be like the 4 seasons, and then there will be like hard winter with more snow and stuff.
That's going to be awesome. That's going to be awesome.
That's my plan. Yep.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
I don't know what else to say, but thank you.
And I need to thank everyone for making it possible for me to spend so much time on doing this. So otherwise, I had to do something else. But thanks to all my awesome patrons and stuff, the people that help me, that makes it possible for me to do this, to spend a majority of time right now doing this on an everyday basis. So it's this is kind of just awesome.
Yeah. You deliver value, people come, and you're delivering incredible value.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah.
I've always said I only Patreon Anna and Carlos. That's it. That's it. Now, Twitch subs, I think we should share the wealth around to all the partners that we have. But as far as Patreon, that's it. Two for me. So and it's worth every dollar. And I say that every week. It's worth every dollar. So
thank you. Yeah.
So John, tell us what you got going on next week, this upcoming week.
Yeah, so I mean, as I said earlier, it's a great week. I'm excited. Still kind of recovering from the drama of our session today. It was pretty heavy. But Tuesday night, Greyhawk Awakening, session number 8. So not too late to get in at the beginning of the story. And the role players in this campaign are fantastic. As a DM, I'm just sort of moving the levers, but the role players are great. It's a fun story. As Jay and I talked about earlier, it's connected. It's connected with the gaming world, the customizations of Greyhawk that Jay has in his campaign, all the things that Anna has added to the map. So it's the same contemporaneous sort of timeline, but not directly hooked, but just tangentially connected in a way that's fun. And you're going to see that grow. And Greyhawk Awakening happens every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central Time. And I posted it earlier. Jay's posted a few times. It is BlueBoxRPG. And for anybody that doesn't know yet, I've said it a few times, Blue Box, the moniker harkens back to this old Blue Box Expert Edition. This is how I started playing as a kid, way back many, many years ago. And so when I started a channel, I thought, well, I really want this thing that's an alloy of old school, or what I call OG, original geek gaming, with all the new tech and the lighting and the minis and the Sirenscape and the Twitch and all that, but just hearkening back to this original Blue Box Expert set that I learned on. And so Blue Box, all one word, RPG on Twitch, and that's Tuesday nights at 5. And then I run my Wednesday night stream. That's Lore Masters Arcanum. Think of it kind of like the stuff that Jay does, but really light. I don't have people that have been playing for 50 years or that grew up with Gary Gygax on my campaign streams on Wednesday night. But it's still old school lore, and it is Greyhawk, but it's also just broader. A lot of DMing tips, things that I've learned. And we have many DMs that join on those Wednesday nights for that Lore Masters Arcanum. So it's a lot of back and forth and sharing of ideas from folks in the DMing community, but also a lot of good player content. And sometimes we'll dive into Dragon magazines. This week, as I mentioned on Wednesday, we have Mike Disney joining. So we're going to be diving into mini painting, and Mike is going to talk through where it's going to be a really fun session with him on Wednesday night. And then my normal Sunday campaigns, which is my Rune Lords, that's at 1:30 Central Time on Sundays, although this coming Sunday will be a week off. All you have to do is follow us on Instagram and our Discord or on Twitch. Our schedule's always posted there, and you can see everything that's happening.
Thank you, everyone, John and Anna, for a great show tonight. It's been a blast.
Yeah, it's been so much fun.
I know we had a general topic tonight, and the good thing about those kind of shows, they can go anywhere. I mean, look at Leonard asking us about death. I never saw that coming.
No.
Never in a million years would have thought that would have been coming. So here's what's going on for me. All right, now I'm going on vacation starting next Saturday, so I got 2 more things coming up. Oh, Bishop, thanks, man. Thank you, Bishop. Cranking it up as always, man. Thank you, Alex. Thank you both. That's another special hero points. That's 2 tonight. You guys have gotten to the crew. So awesome. Really appreciate it. Now I just went and just shut off. All right. So I have been begging to get certain individuals on certain streams. So the Legends and Lore this Wednesday is the Iron League. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I know very little about the Iron League. Anna knows very little about the Iron League, and so does Mike. So we've been begging Malden to come on the show. Dennis Tetro, who needs to come on the show. So I haven't put my Discord up, and I've asked him, and he said last week he's going to ask the powers that be, which means his wife, if he's allowed to come on the show. But we really need him because he's the expert, and I imagine Gary may come on as well for this one. The Iron League is very, very rich in original glossography lore.
Exactly, it's awesome, and it's one of these central location to the setting, so it's a very interesting part of Greyhawk. Yeah. So
we're gonna mull through it. Like it was just like last week. Carlos hopped on and helped us out too, and so hopefully Malden will come on and hit us up with that on Wednesday. Then my last stream for about 9 days will be on Thursday night, and we'll finish Shadows of the Halfling Hall finally after 3 weeks. There will be a Reaper miniatures giveaway that night for subscribers and followers. Okay, so we will have that as well. Finishing this up, and oh, look at that! We got a hype train this late in the night. My gosh, man!
What's a hype train?
A hype train is when you have a certain amount of cheers and things in a certain amount of time, and the hype builds up there. So I'll just block the other picture here for the time being. Thank you, Captain Redbeard. Thank you so very much for the nice compliment.
Thank you, everybody. That's awesome.
Yeah. So the Shadows of the Halfling Hall has been a great introduction for me into Troller games, content, and castles and crusades. I had to adapt it a little bit, but you got to do that with any adventure, right? It's going very well. And we'll finish that up. We'll see what happens to the Village of Newbriar. And we'll also see what happens to the Village of Newbriar when Chuck runs it at Virtual Greyhawk Con. I will be off for I may run a Saturday night special when my gosh, dude. Thanks, Extort. I may run a Saturday night special when I get back that Saturday, just because I'll be D&D starved. But it may turn into a kids game, which we won't stream on the 8th. But then here's our next stream will be Gabbin number 103. This was Mike Disney's idea for this topic. Legendary Adventures of Greyhawk. We want to delve into some of them. I want to delve into White Plume Mountain. I want to delve into Ghost Tower Remembrance. I want to delve into Expedition to Barry Peaks. Just talk on the effect it had on the game early on. We will have this on Sunday, August 9th, barring me not having a major interview with someone that we're working on, and this may get pushed back a week.
Oh, yeah. Okay, nice. Way to drop that, Jay.
Yeah.
We are.
It was almost a placeholder, and then you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Barring.
I'll be on Tuesday night. Should I not be called someone high up in the White House on Tuesday night?
Yeah.
Barring.
That was
all right. So Josh is helping me out. We have an opportunity. Maybe I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. If you know, the person who wrote Hidden Shrine of Tomoe-kan and one of the A series adventures may be available for an interview that night. We will see. If he is, then we will have that individual on that Sunday night. Because how can I say no? So, you know what I mean? That would be fantastic. Yeah. We'll push that back a week. But right now, this is what we're going to do on Sunday, August 9th. So there you go. No, I'm not talking Return to the Temple of Mental Evil ever, Josh, so you can get that out of your head now. And a great way to end the show tonight. Thank you for that discussion. The Hidden Shrine introduced weapon specialization. You are absolutely correct, Tim. A lot of people don't know that in competition series.
Oh.
Yes.
Interesting. I did not know that.
He's a wealth of knowledge. He absolutely is. Thank you. What a great night.
So he says something other than kill them all. I did not realize that.
Yes. So we have a little secret also. We're doing something for one of our friends, and Tim said, well, of course we're going to make a gun, right? I'm like, no. We're not making a gun out of, you can just guess what the item is that we're getting. And he's like, no, we're not doing it. We're going to do figures. We're going to do terrain and buildings and stuff. Oh my gosh, man. Tim's laughing.
It would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm going to hit the button. We're going to raid into Phantom and give him a little more help to get him rocking and rolling here. So
yeah, he hit affiliate last week too.
Oh,
so
he did get affiliate. Good.
He did. Yeah, he got over 50.
Well, he may not have gotten. Remember, you got to have a number of streams
you're right.
during the month too.
You're right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. He had 50. I don't know if he got affiliate or not.
Yeah, I'm hoping he gets there before Virtual Greyhawk Con. So,
well, he must have lost the followers, Steve, because he was over. I saw it because we rated him last week. And he got over
this raid will get him over it, guys. So if you haven't, if you have not followed Phantom, please follow him. Rob this
really good guy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let me make sure I don't do this wrong.
Thanks, everybody.
What a great night. Thank you
so much. Yeah.
See you during the week.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Sit tight, John, if you can, for air.
Sure.
I'm going to raid this in 10 seconds. Thanks, Assure. Thank you, Extort. Thank you for all the cheers. Thank you for all the subs. Thank you for all the follows. All right, we're heading in now. Here we go. Should have worked.
Yep, I see it. Successful raid. Party of 40. Well done.
Yeah, that's good. You get a fair
great
amount
raid
of
for him.
That want to go in. You know, I'm not. I got a browser error. I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Get him up and going. All right, we'll just run this through. Woo!
That was awesome. Thank you, John. This was so much fun. And Jay,
Anna, thank you.
Have a good night, everyone. If you're still on here, see you later in the week.